Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes! Amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, right?
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 199 and we're your host Jake
And Matt.
here to run you through all the action of Matchday 13 in Serie A.
Yeah, Matchday 99 in Serie
Matchday
A.
99. 999.
Matchday 13 was a huge one. A lot of important games taking place over here. We are one episode away from episode 200, brother.
Yes, and we have nothing planned, so we'll probably just drink way too much during the next episode.
I'm thinking normal episode, we get hella drunk and
Yes.
maybe we open up some patron questions or something of the sort. I think
Great
it'll
idea.
be fair enough. We're not about celebrations, guys. We're about hard work here.
Hard work, determination,
Strong will and strong willies.
endurance, consistency.
That all the cringe shit you can think of in the toxic male podcasts that you listen to. Let's start off with the rundown. Of course, we had some huge games this week. We'll start things off with Milan 1, Lazio 0, the win that propelled Milan to top of the table. Marred by last-minute VAR drama, which we will get into very soon, but it was very unique to see a team celebrate at the final whistle due to a refereeing decision. It was like, it almost looked like a game show where the host was announcing the team that won at the end of it. Just see one team losing their nut over it.
It's true. And even the referee, the way he approached the call was very dramatic as well. He played the Uno reverse card. You know?
Literally.
It was like, it seems that there was a handball.
But, however, I loved it. What a showman.
Yeah.
Right decision, wrong reason. We'll get into all that very soon. That was followed up with Roma 0, Napoli 1. Another battle at the top of the table here. It was a victory for Napoli. It was once again the 3-4-3 for Napoli. And it was once again Neres scoring over there. And he was really cold about that goal, wasn't he, bro?
I'm not sure if I'd say cold. The celebration in itself is a little bit strange, right? He was cold in front of goal, definitely, and he did very well until that point. But post-goal, I'm not quite sure what...
Okay, but what about the interview?
The interview. Do you mean this? I never left.
Fuck yeah. He thought he was him. Well, he is him at the moment.
I think that's just his permanent state.
I think it is. There were everyone saying that he's high all the time and he used to play in Holland and then he moved to another country where weed was legal as well. Everyone's like, this guy's just baked. If he is, I want some of what you're smoking because he looks really chill.
And really good on the pitch.
But mainly chill. Pisa 0, Inter 2. As always, Pisa just made things complicated, but Lautaro Martinez is back from the dead and he scored 2 goals. Specifically, the first one was really well taken, and that's Lautaro Martinez that we know. Really good reaction from Inter, of course, after 2 defeats in a row for them. One, of course, against Atletico Madrid and the other against Milan in the league. Yeah. Atalanta 2, Fiorentina 0. 2 top teams who have recently switched managers, so this was always going to be stylistically the game to watch of the week. It was a Palladino victory. Fiorentina still winless this season. And they did have a serious conversation with the fans after the match, and it looked really serious, where the fans were telling them off, and then I think Dzeko had like a 5-minute monologue basically pleading to them of please get behind us, stop booing us, which is fair enough, but you know what, the fans want to see a victory, the fans deserve to see a victory because this is absolute horse shit by Fiorentina.
It is. However, they're constantly disadvantaged. Their home games are worse than away games because it's not that they don't have support, it's that they've got their entire stadium jeering, and Dzeko's megaphone speech comes after last week where he literally made a public call to the fans, telling them basically like, listen, stop booing us, or things are very unlikely to improve, basically, because listen, you're making it harder for us. Boo before, boo after the game, but during the game we need your support.
Yeah,
basically.
I love how, by the way, Dzeko's the spokesperson. I was
Ranieri, right?
not Ranieri, who is the captain. That's an interesting one, but he is, of course, the player with the most pedigree.
Ranieri divides the fan base a little bit.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, some people aren't convinced he should be captain.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let us know, any Viola fans, who should be
Yeah.
your captain. The surprise of the week, man. Bologna 1, Cremonese 3, Monday night. Monday night games are interesting, to say the least, and I hate that because Milan play Torino away next Monday. I have a terrible run over there. But this was all about Jamie Vardy, who is back having a party, brother. Pardon me. 2 really well-taken goals from him. No hesitation in front of goal. Loads of experience. Fire as well. You got to see his burst of pace, taking on the keeper and finishing from a tight angle. Bologna, huge opportunity missed, man. They could have gone second level on points with Inter and Roma on 27 points, but it wasn't to be, simply.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating game for them. They pushed high, they pressed, but Cremonese actually managed to play some lovely balls over the top behind Bologna's defense to set Pajero free, and then to set Vardy free twice. That Bianchetti was playing some deadly balls, man.
He was. He really was. And the balls over the top were working against the high line and the dominant style of football that Italiano brings. Yes, you'll see that our tactic talk is probably getting better because we're addicted to FM.
Yes.
I am the manager of Port Vale, Jake of Mansfield, and our friend Theo is in charge of Bradford.
Yes.
None of us are getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely none of us.
Como 2, Sassuolo 0. Como continue their unbeaten run. That's 11 games unbeaten in a row. They climbed to 5th. They are on 24 points, level on points with Bologna, just 3 behind them. Roma and Inter. How far can Como go? We will see. We'll discuss. Lecce 2, Torino 1. Another huge surprise. Torino, of course, coming off a devastating loss, so their morale was low. While Lecce understand that, look, this is the time we need to be picking up points now. And they've actually gotten 2 wins in their last 4 games. And their last 4 games actually only lost 1 game.
Yeah, and they've got a particularly good player right now in Berisha this season. He's having a very great breakout season. He got 2 assists this game, and he was just great all around, to be honest.
Yeah. Did I skip Juve Cagliari?
Yes.
I believe I did skip Juve Cagliari. We'll also be covering, of course, Juve 2, Cagliari 1. This has been a great week for Juve, particularly because Yildiz is back, particularly because in a tough game against Bodo Glimt, they really showed the desire that Spalletti brings to a team. It's great to see Yildiz firing. Unfortunately, Vlahovic did pick up an injury, but against Bodo Glimt, both David and Openda scored. So something to smile about for Juve fans. We'll also be covering Genoa 2, Hellas Verona 1. That is Daniele De Rossi undefeated for Genoa. That is Colombo scoring once again in the 3 games De Rossi has had in charge. He's actually scored 2 and assisted 1, and before that he hadn't scored a single goal.
And this was a well-taken goal.
It really was a really clean finish. Hellas, once again, they play good football, but they just can't score, and they are still winless for that reason.
They can't hold on to leads.
Exactly. Parma 0, Udinese 2 is what we will be closing off with. A disappointing performance by Parma. Zaniolo got his 4th goal of the season, and unfortunately the young goalkeeper of Parma did have a bit of a nightmare. In the penalty, he was absolutely cooked. Just completely psyched out by the taker, was Davis.
Davis, yeah.
Davis, yes. And he stayed rooted to the spot, and in the Zaniolo goal, he came out really, really badly. But
Really
this is how
badly.
goalkeepers learn at a young age, right?
Absolutely. How young is he? Would he qualify as a young goalkeeper?
I'm just assuming because of
Yeah.
the way he
The way he
looked, to be
played,
fair, because
right?
of the way he played, yeah.
Eduardo Corvi, 24 years old
24.
for a goalkeeper. That's relatively
He's got
young,
time.
yes.
He's got time.
Uh-huh.
And he's kind of thrown into it at that point. And
Yeah.
I think Udinese do have a goalkeeping problem because the other option apart from him is Okoye, right?
But you're talking about Parma, right?
I am talking
Yeah.
about. Oh my god, apologies.
Because Suzuki, of course, being injured and being linked to many big clubs, Corvi, of course, this was an opportunity for him to maybe prove to them that he can actually fill in for Suzuki when he leaves. But I don't think he's been putting on very good displays, to be honest, so far. But we'll see how he copes, especially with the market right around the corner. He better start playing better, to be honest.
Yep, that's true. Let's jump to our predictions from last week. Of course, the prediction series, quick fire predictions is something that we've been doing. Jake, how did it go, bro?
Yes, so you got 6 predictions, right, out of 10, while I only got 3. I predicted a bunch of draws, and there wasn't a single draw this match. Not a single one. Dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. So that takes our tally to 1-1 at the moment. Spicing up.
Let's fucking go. Let us know who you're rooting for in the comments below, guys, and remember, be nice.
Yes.
Goal of the week. Let's jump to goal of the week. It does seem like, the quality of goals wasn't extremely high. There were a lot of good team goals. We did see a few from, for example, Vardy had some good finishes.
Yeah.
We saw Milan had a great passage of play that ended with Leao putting the ball into the net. My goal of the week, as much as I love goals that are well thought out, there's a routine and intention behind it, I just had to go for Kosunu's for Atalanta against Fiorentina. I know he was meant to cross the ball. You could tell that from absolutely everything about his body language, but just the way the ball hit the back of the net, fuck it, man. Yeah. In Maltese, you say Jitek Taiba. It worked out well for you. You went to put in a cross, you put it in the back of the net, and it was a lit goal. So goal of the week to Kosunu for me.
Yeah, and even the way it hit the side netting from that angle is just bizarre. You never see that happen.
If he was looking elsewhere, it would have definitely been goal of the week. Yeah. It was looking directly at the net.
Yeah, true. For me, there were 2 goals that I had to pick from. It was Leao's and Neres's. Leao's goal, of course, was the result of beautiful combination play, including a dummy run by Tomori. And Fofana played him a lovely ball before he got the assist. It was a passage of one-touch play, literally. While, spoiler alert, I'm giving it to Neres. Neres did a lot of dirty work. So it was a tackle from Rahmani just outside Napoli's box. Neres collects the ball and starts driving. He lays the ball off to Højlund, who has the ball for a few seconds, takes a few touches, and plays the ball perfectly clean through with the perfect amount of weight on it. Højlund has been releasing his wingers really well in this role. It's the best thing he's been doing so far. He can put the perfect amount of weight on a pass to really help his teammates. And Neres essentially took a few touches, outpaced the defenders. I mean, they were eating his dust by this point, and he finished cleanly under the goalkeeper.
That's what you get with Roma. That's what you get. They struggle against the counter attacks or when they have to defend behind them, which is something that we've said quite a bit. They don't have the quickest defenders in the world, and you often see them literally eating dust. Yeah, you put it perfectly.
We saw quite a few poor high lines this week.
Yeah, that's true. And no, we're not talking about hairlines. I know we do that quite a bit, but we are actually talking about tactics here. DeMarco, don't you worry, brother.
Yeah, we're not talking about you, buddy.
Yeah, before we move in, I do want to highlight the Coppa Italia fixtures that there are this week. Of course, loads of midweek action, which means that the football is going to be played until Monday, and I don't believe there are any Friday games. This is the round of 16, so the Coppa Italia essentially basically starts now, really. And tonight, we are recording this on Tuesday, the 2nd of December, at 6 o'clock. So in 3 hours, there's Juve against Udinese, the Bianconeri derby, as I like to put it. Tomorrow at 3, there's Atalanta against Genoa. And tomorrow at 6, there's Napoli against Cagliari, followed by a 9 o'clock match between Inter and Venezia. On Thursday, there's Bologna-Parma at 6. Followed by Lazio Milan at 9. So that is going to be a heated one.
An opportunity for revenge.
Exactly. And then on I believe this is the Friday, it's the 13th of... No, this is actually in the coming weeks. And then there's Roma against Torino on the 13th of January at 9 o'clock. And then Fiorentina-Como on the 27th of January at 9 o'clock as well.
I think the Lazio game is going to be a very difficult one for Milan because... they might actually need the Coppa Italia if they want to play in Europe.
Absolutely.
Judging by how the league form has been going.
I'm curious to know how Sarri has performed in Coppa Italia. Nothing is coming to mind.
I think he won it with Juve.
Moment.
He won it with Juve.
That would make total sense. That would make total sense.
So we've got a Patreon. if you want to follow us, if you want to show us some love. And we've got a very cute little story over here. A message was sent in from a guy called Matt, a listener called Matt. Lots of love to
Shout out, Matt, yeah.
And my favorite Matt. He says, "Hey guys, hope all is well with both of you. Firstly, love the show. It gives me a break from the highs and lows of being a Newcastle fan. At least they're enjoying Chow.
They are enjoying
apparently
Chow.
Walter Mada has taught Chow how to head the ball. Yeah,
Super.
It was actually, they joked about that in an interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Walter Mada,
He's
bro.
so
He's
good.
so cool.
Good. Love
He's
Walter
cool
Mada
as
as well.
hell.
Who the hell is Isaac? Am I right?
Hey.
I'm actually messaging as I'm really good friends with the legend that is Sam Marks. You know him well now, I'm sure. Sam
Yes.
Marks, of course, is our latest patron. The guy who we displayed his little stadiums that he makes. He basically puts together these replica stadiums. They look absolutely incredible. He says, I was wondering if on the next show you could give him a shout out for me, as he's an avid listener and I wanted to do something nice for him and a surprise. Basically, for my 40th birthday, he paid for my flight and accommodation when we recently went to Italy and did a little football trip. We saw Milan versus Pisa, Sampdoria versus Frosinone. We did a Juve stadium tour and a visit to pay respect to the Grande Torino before the last day tour of San Siro, where Sam is the first person to ever answer correctly this one question that the tour guide had.
Jesus, go
That's
Sam,
amazing.
man.
You rock, Sam. He said he helped me out big time when I lost my job, and this trip was just so kind of him. So if you could give him a big up sometime, it would light his face up. So here it is, Sam. Your friend Matt is a very good friend. Hopefully he's not a stalker and this doesn't weird you out completely. But
I love this. What a good relationship between two dudes that is, man.
how thoughtful,
just
eh?
really heartfelt. And firstly, that holiday sounds fucking fire, man.
How good
And
it
I just
sounds.
want to tell you, it's my 29th in February, and the following year it's my 30th. No, but jokes aside, that is a great fucking gesture by Matt, and I'm glad that of all people he did it for Sam, because from the few interactions we've had with Sam, what a top guy.
Top guy. And you can see the photo if you're watching on YouTube.
Sorry, it was the other way around. I know Sam did it for Matt, but yeah, I'm glad Sam did it for Matt.
Yeah. he sent in this picture of them. He says, I like to think I look like Freddie Ljungberg, but sadly I think it's more Danny Murphy.
Danny Murphy had a hell of a penalty record for Fulham.
Yeah,
bro.
you mentioned this.
Yes, I remember watching as a kid, and I just remember he stepped up for a penalty, and the commentator said, like, this guy is number one penalty taker in the Premier League for the last 10 years. I'm sure that's changed over time, but Danny Murphy is where it's at.
Excellent stuff. Very heartwarming, guys. Thank you for sending this in.
Absolutely, and if you guys do want to become patrons, much like Sam, it's just $3.99 a month. You'll be added to a Discord channel with 50 plus like-minded legends with multiple channels for different discussions, and you can win a free kit if you win our fantasy league. Our fantasy league, as it stands, Inter Your Mom is still in first place. Getting a bit boring. What is this, the Premier League? Why is the same team first all the time? So Inter Your Mom still first. Of course, Inter Your Mom is David Vavra, followed by Katana Choke Me Maxi. That is Alan really climbing up the table now. He really wants a new kit, Alan. Followed by SSC Drees Nuts, of course, Brandon, who is very close, to be honest. Followed by Zanetti's Asshole, which is, of course, myself. I had a really good week. I have Yildiz, I have Leao, I have Manyan. So brilliant week. And then followed by Corto Muso, who is on 967.5 points, and that is Nobby, Norbert, of course.
Yeah. You can actually see who did the best by clicking on Classifica at the bottom, for those who don't know. And we can see that on Matchday 13th, it was Loco, Choco, Saul, Coco who did the best. Of course, that's Tanino, Batman, Choco, Loco with 86 points. Allegri's Allegations did very well with 85 points. Katana Choke Me Maxi with 82. Norbert with 81.5. Zanetti's Asshole with 81. And then me with 80, and I would have done so well if it weren't for that meddling Aslani who ended up coming on off the bench for me and scoring me a 1.5.
Coming on for Saponara Seaman. Will we see Saponara Seaman shoot to the top of the table?
Yes, currently
Aye.
Saponara has shot his seaman to 15th place. More to come.
Yes. Fantastic. Make sure, guys, to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, with the weekly episodes covering every single match, every single team, every single week. And we also have bonus tactical analysis episodes called Tactics Imperium by our very own football analyst, Gianluca Liao. Had a brilliant piece on the Milan derby most recently.
Yeah.
So do check out his work. He's very talented, very gifted. And
I love
of
the
course,
music in the background.
Nick,
Yeah.
give us a
Well
shout,
done. So
brother.
good.
United. What a win. Mateta had you in the beginning.
What do you
Dude,
mean,
be
fuck
careful.
Mateta?
He might come
be
to
Milan's
Milan. He
striker.
might come to Milan.
He would be a
I
great
want
purchase.
to see
I'd
him
love to
in
see
a
Mateta
Milan
at
kit
Milan.
with his shirt tucked in. You know how
Yeah.
iconic that is. Exactly. Fuck yes, bro. Show the bunda. Benevo bid, of course, guys. Check out our link in bio to bid on autographed items from top players, including match-issued kits. They help us a hell of a lot. Thanks to them, guys, we've met the likes of Zanetti and Materazzi, and we'll have more opportunities soon. So they definitely do good for us, and they definitely do good for the community, because most of their proceeds do go to charity, and they give you guys a great opportunity to get autographed items, again, even match-issued kits from some of your favorite players in history. And if you question the authenticity, do check their social medias out, because you could actually see proof where the players are signing off the kits themselves. So shout out to Joseph, shout out to Ed. You guys are the best, and they're also Milanisti, so we like them even more.
Yes, these bids are definitely benevolent.
100%. Shall we start off with Milan-Lazio?
Let's get cracking.
So as you guys know, as I already said, Milan won, Lazio 0. They will play each other again in the Coppa on Thursday. This was a match marred with last-minute controversy. But let's talk about the game first, right? So Milan were coming off an away victory in the Derby della Madonnina with the score of 1-0. However, they did miss Pulisic, Jimenez and Atekame. That means that Nkunku started up top alongside Leao. Lazio were coming off a 2-0 victory versus Lecce. Some people hailed that their best performance of the season. However, they still missed Rovella, Cancelleri and Gigot. Aside from the 2-0 loss to Inter, Lazio hadn't conceded or lost in their last 5 games. This came from adjustments they made after their crazy 3-3 draw against Torino, where they essentially changed both their wing-backs and changed a bit the way that they defend. Milan started off in a 3-5-2 formation with Mike Maignan in goal, backline of Pavlovic, Gabbia and Tomori, Bartesaghi on the left over Estupinian, Salamakers on the right, and the midfield trio of Rabiot, Modric and Fofana with Leao and Chris Nkunku up front together. 4-3-3 for Sarri's men, Provedel in goal, backline of Marisic, Hila, Romagnoli and Pellegrini, Guendouzi, Vecino and Basic in the midfield, with Isaacsen, Dia and Zaccagni leading the charge. So in the first minute, it was like minute 1 and 16 seconds, Lazio had a huge chance. Hila had a free header from a corner. It was, to be honest, poor defending from Pavlovic. They got a great header away, but Maignan, with the form that he's on, produced a spectacular save to tip it onto the crossbar. Crucial save, especially because of the timing it was at. Had Milan gone 1-0 down so early on in the game, psychologically that could have some impact on the team. But Magic Mike Maignan, El Capitano, keeps Milan in it.
It was jaw-dropping.
Honestly. If you think his saves against Inter were good, watch this, man.
I gasped and then I burst out laughing at the replay because I can't believe the form he's on.
I was
insane.
I was out watching this game because my friend, a Milan fan, decided, hey, let me have my birthday drinks when Milan play Lazio, but whatever. And I opened it on my phone. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna be glued to my phone now, you know. And after just 1 minute that happened, so I'm like, fuck me, I'm actually gonna be glued to my phone from now on. And I barely spoke to anyone. Milan scored the only goal of the game in the 51st minute. It was a perfect team sequence. It was Modric to Salamakers to Fofana to Tomori, who played the ball into the 6-yard box to Leao, who finished, albeit Provedel got a touch to it. But that is good positioning by Leao and a great vertical sequence by Milan, who seemed to shift formation to like this 4-3-3 during the attack. It was absolutely amazing. If you like team goals, it doesn't get much better than this. And then in the 93rd to 95th minute, Lazio were piling men forward as they were looking to get the equalizer. Romagnoli he fired from the central area, and the ball struck Pavlovic's arm. VAR called Kollu, the referee, to review, and he checked it out because initially he didn't award a penalty. He checked it out, and you could see that the ball did actually strike the arm/elbow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it was completely to Pavlovic's body. It was a bit extended. Without Pavlovic looking at the ball, with the distance from Romagnoli really close and his arm not moving towards the ball. An incredibly natural position, essentially. Knowing my luck as a Milan fan, whatever, I was sure it was going to be given nonetheless, because
same.
I didn't think while I was watching the game that Thuram's penalty was a penalty, for example. So I was just sure that this was going to be given. And the referee did make a bit of a meal of it. So he steps onto the pitch, like Jake said earlier, and goes, "After further review, it shows that player wearing the number 31 for Milan handled the ball in the box." And you could see Lazio players starting to get all fired up. They pick up the ball to go take the penalty. Tomori has his head in his hands. And he goes, "However, the player with the number 31 was fouled in the build-up." And you see the Milan players and the San Siro absolutely explode to that news, because they did win the free kick. No corner, no nothing. Milan out of harm's way, and Milan go on to win the match with the score of 1-0 and get full 3 points. Now, I do want to talk about the penalty incident before we go into anything else, just because it's the major talking point. And according to Luca Marelli, who I agree with Luca Marelli a hell of a lot. Probably because he actually knows what he's talking about and I don't when it comes to handballs and whatever, because I've really lost touch of what the handball rule actually means nowadays, man.
Often,
right? Yeah. But basically what he said is it was the right decision by Collu. It was the wrong decision by VAR to call him over. But Collu should have awarded a corner and not a free kick to Milan. He said it wasn't a handball for various reasons. Those three: the arm and body extremely close to Marisic, the arm behind Pavlovic's body, and insufficient time to react. And there was no foul on Pavlovic. So it should have been a free kick and not a corner, right?
Yeah, because the way he was, his arm wasn't extended sideways; it was extended backwards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And plus, there was a whole lot of tugging going on. So
He was going to ground.
And more than anything, for me, the reason why I'm not too bothered by this decision is simply because of the distance. I don't think it's fair at all when the distance is so close. It reminds me of a penalty that Dybala had got on De Sciglio once.
I know
when
the exact
that
one.
was the time when there was a zero handball tolerance rule in Italy. So
Chop the arm off.
yeah, if the ball touches your hand, it's a penalty without any questions, which isn't the way to go either. It's a very tricky rule, to be honest, to impose. There's a lot of subjectivity to it.
Yeah.
And that time Dybala had just chipped the ball, like dinked the ball from right in front of De Sciglio into his arm, and the referee had awarded the penalty.
Yeah,
and
his
that
arm
rubbed me
was
the wrong way.
His arm was
just
down by his body.
side.
And
so
this
it's the
also,
distance for me.
and Lazio reacted a certain way where they didn't speak to the press after the game. Then they posted a screenshot of the ball hitting Pavlovic's arm and said, "We didn't speak to the media, but this is why." Where it's like, of course, if you would have thought that Inter should have had a red card in that game against Verona. You just look at the screenshot, but you have to look at the entire thing, And Milan had on for a second. I remember, man, last season Milan lost to Lazio because of a last-minute penalty that was converted by Pedro. Do you remember how that penalty was won?
No.
Isaacson on the ball from the wing, running towards Magnan, kicks the ball out and runs into Magnan, and he wins the penalty. The ball was essentially out of play. They get the penalty and they score it. So 1-1.
It's like the Pavlovich stomp.
Exactly, like the Pavlovich stomp. But before we get into talking points as well, there's something else I would highlight, and do you know what it is?
What is it?
So firstly, shout out to Fofana. Shout out to Fofana because once again, when Milan win ugly with a 1-0 in 2 big games in a row, he had a huge part to play in the goal.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Like he had against Inter, now he had against Lazio.
Pass to Tomori for the hockey assist.
Exactly. Fofana can also be quite clumsy as a player. And he has a lot of physical quality, which is why Max continues to start him, because he wants physical players. Fofana gets the ball just outside his own box. And he charges forward like he's Theo Hernandez against Atalanta. but the same marauding run.
And the same number on his kit.
And the same number on his kit. You'd think that it's him. Insane marauding run where he takes on 3 players, attacking the space. He looked like Messi, man.
Yeah.
He gets into the shooting position. He places his standing leg to obviously shoot. And his standing leg hits the ball. He swings for the fences. And the ball goes rolling away and Lazio counter. And he's down head and hands. And there's some insane footage.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's on your screen.
Watch us
right
on
now,
YouTube
guys.
if you're watching,
Yeah.
guys. Or
I think
turn the
if you
video on.
play the audio here, Nick, it's the Messi commentary.
I don't know if we're going to get that to work.
Yeah.
Ancora Messi, ancora Messi, ancora Messi, ancora Messi, ancora Messi, gol, 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 gol.
So
Xavi,
clumsy.
assistenza.
So
Lucky,
clumsy.
yeah, I mean, he moved so well. He did everything perfectly until the... What do you call that? The hardest part, the finish, or the easiest part after all
the
that?
easiest part after
Probably
all that,
hitting-
get a shot away,
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
the
yeah,
target.
yeah,
He had a
yeah.
clear sight of goal, so he fucked up the easy part. That leads me to my first question: Should Fofana start for Milan?
Look, man, Allegri's an extremely serious coach, and he's always going to prioritize what the team needs, right? And if the team needs a splash or a dollop of Fofana in the midfield, then I respect Allegri's decision. I don't think by any means that Fofana is a terrible player. I think he's clumsy, and I think he's very unlucky. For example, there was a shot at one point from Salamakers, I believe, that just whacked Fofana at one point. He was just standing in the way. So he's very clumsy, and in that way he's easy to kind of scapegoat, but I don't think he's a problem by any means, and he's keeping a very talented Ricci out of the team. So he must be doing something right, and to be honest, he provides quite a lot of balance to the midfield that makes Milan a very physical and tough side to play against.
Yeah, speaking of, man, we all know the comments that Allegri made about Ricci, which is like, Ricci's getting there. He's soon going to be a good player, he's soon going to be physical, he's soon going to be all this, etc. And we found it a bit weird because we know the kind of player that Ricci is. He's more of a deep-lying midfielder, likes to play the ball, a bit of a Pirlo and not really like a Gattuso, right? But Allegri was speaking about him like he wants to be a Gattuso. He wants him to be a Gattuso before he gets serious minutes. And he came on, Ricci, and he was incredibly physical. He won the ball on so many occasions. It's so much dirty work, and I see what Max is talking about, because clearly he is creating mezzala. He's creating a box-to-box midfielder here.
Yes. And not to mention as well that he loses quite a bit of physicality from starting Modric game in, game out.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Modric is very industrious. He gets stuck in. He's not afraid to tackle and win the ball back. However, you do need to keep in mind the balance of the team, right? So having two players like Rabiot and Fofana who can do a little bit of everything is great, you know?
I think so, and we're still yet to see Yashari in full fitness coming back. He's going to be one hell of an asset once he gets firing, I hope at least. But now let's talk about the game a little bit. I think for 2 games in a row, we saw Milan pretty much playing Allegri ball. So Milan on the back foot, the other team creating more chances, the other team pressing higher up the pitch. Milan, for the first few minutes, and even this was the case against Inter as well as it was the case against Lazio, Milan seemed to struggle with the press of their opponents early on. But as the game progressed, they seemed to not only get used to it, but completely nullify it. So on the ball, Milan in possession started to look more comfortable as the game went on. And I noticed that even with the goal that Milan scored, it's so clearly a 4-2-3-1 in possession that Allegri has been utilizing here, with Tomori going really high up, Bartesaghi going really high up, and Tomori in that goal, he was so pivotal with the dummy run that he initially made, dragging a player out of position and then getting into position to deliver a perfect cross for Leao. So Tomori was crucial there, but it's the 4-2-3-1 that I want to talk about, that I'm more interested in, man.
In possession, it definitely looks like a back four, and Tomori has proven to be quite versatile. And that actually liberates Salamakers to roam and to move centrally.
Swap wings.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you see him on the left randomly. So it is interesting that this Milan side is adapting, because Allegri is often spoken about as this manager who limits tactical evolution or progress or patterns and things like that. But in reality, the more you watch Milan, the more new things you see. And
Yeah.
it seems like every week we see something more to the side that we wouldn't have seen the previous week. So I do like that that they're evolving, especially that this back four is ideal for me in possession. And having players so versatile is obviously such an asset as well.
And doesn't it give you the best of both worlds? Where last season we're like, Milan need to play a back three because they're conceding too much, as we used to say that under Pioli as well. But then Milan looks so much better attacking with a four at the back, obviously, because you have more players piling forward. You get to use Salamackers more to his best abilities. Nkunku can drift wide a little bit, although we'll get to Nkunku, don't you worry. So it's the best of both worlds.
It's like an atypical 4-3-3 more than a 4-2-3-1. They're very similar. But the interesting thing as well is that like you've got the likes of Leao and Nkunku and Salamakers who can kind of all roam and overlap and swap, etc., etc. However, it seems that Leao really is shouldering this role as a 9, and I really enjoyed his movement this game. In particular, he had a header as well where he moved like a proper striker.
man.
Provedel got a really good save.
And like massive kudos to Leao. I think Max is going to do great things for his career, because if Leao can learn to play as a 9, which clearly he is, his movement was on point. You look at him next to Nkunku looked like a fish out of water. You see Nkunku trying to make the right at a point. Milan are attacking. Leao is making a good run where he doesn't anticipate getting the ball yet, so he's like this shadow player who's moving into an attacking role, making a late run into the box. You see Nkunku, on the other hand, pretty much. So I forgot who it was on the ball, but he decided to play it to Bartezaghi, who was wide out on the left. Nkunku almost intercepted that because he was so lost. He doesn't know where to be. He seems lost on the pitch. I've yet to see the Nkunku that people know and love. Okay, the Nkunku that struggled at Chelsea, but at Leipzig, bro, this guy was a world beater. Is it simply the case that this guy's playing out of position? He's in a new league. How patient should Milan fans be with him? Because the 40 million really kind of mars the any hope for progress of this player. You kind of expect someone like Rabiot who comes in and performs at 100%, no?
The fact is that he's new to the league. He's struggled with injuries in recent years. He's playing in a role he's not very familiar with. So I guess Milan should be patient, especially when you splash so much cash on someone who is 28, is he? Something like that, right? He's 28 years old, so there isn't much upside to the deal. You can't really make a profit of Nkunku at this point. So I guess you just have to be patient with him and kind of understand what he is to the team. Because if a 9 is brought in now, let's say Milan bring in Mateta, that leaves Nkunku as what? Vice Leao?
I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. I find it hard to think that Milan will operate with anything less than Leao, Pulisic up
and
front.
Just to rub salt into the wounds of all the people who questioned the Nkunku signing, saying that we needed a 9, us being two of them. At one point, a cross came in over the top, and Nkunku, his movement is not 9ish at all.
No.
Rooted to the spot, moved his head ever so slightly. He doesn't have that instinct that a 9 has, of course. And we don't expect him to be a 9 because he isn't.
He pisses me off, unfortunately.
But
I am hoping that he gets there.
He cost Milan 40 million, not to mention his salary, and not to mention the price of buying a balloon for every game.
That's it.
Put in his
Just
sock.
rotting there in his sock, making him sweat even more, making him play worse. Modric made some weird mistakes, but when he makes mistakes, he always seems to win the ball back at least. But he gave the ball away a fair bit in midfield, man.
This was the worst I've seen him with Milan, and he still did okay, to be honest.
Yeah. If that's the worst we'll get of Modric, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Once again, a shout out to Bartezaghi.
Oh man, Bartezaghi. I want to talk about him a bit.
Go for it.
Because last week I mentioned that every cross that comes into Milan's box seems to be dealt with by Bartezaghi.
Yeah.
He clears them out, all of them. Massive breath of fresh air. He operates like a centre back in the box, which is great because he's quite big as well. So he's really good at defending in his box, and he's really good on the other end when he finally makes it to the final third and he pings in a cross. He has laser crosses. He kind of hits them early. He sneaks crosses, and suddenly you snap your fingers and the ball moves so quickly onto the penalty spot. You know what I mean? That kind of disguised snapshot cross. So I think that his game in the final third is excellent. His game in the box is excellent. What he needs to improve on is in between. And once he keeps working on in between and keeps improving, I think there's a serious player there. And I'm talking a player for the national team as well.
Yeah, I think so. And he's
so
still
good.
he's
So
still
good.
19 years old, man, which is ridiculous. But he's one of those that and this Milan team seems to be made of players that have a point to prove, right? There's Salamakers, who was out for 2 seasons on loan at Roma and Bologna. There's the likes of Pulisic, who had the flop at Chelsea. The likes of Leao, everyone's always counting him out, saying how limited he is. Rabiot back in the league. Modric at 40 years old. Gabbia, who is grown by Milan. He was going to be sold to Villarreal and then called back because they had an emergency, essentially. Tomori also outcast.
Milan were trying to offload.
Yes,
Pavlovic
along with Morata, etc. to the Turkish league. Can you imagine him in Turkey? So and Allegri at the helm, getting the best, telling these guys, look, you do have a chip on your shoulder, but now you're in the right place. Let's jump to Lazio a little bit. Milan, of course, are in first level on points with Napoli. It is looking like it's going to be a battle between these two teams for the Scudetto. Of course, not dismissing Inter by any means. I am dismissing Roma and Juve a bit, though. And it's really good to see an Allegri versus Conte season again. It's a very reminiscent season, and even seeing Spalletti back in, Gasperini is there as well with Atalanta. It's going to be with Roma. It's going to be a really fun season. Lazio played well. I feel like they showed discipline positionally. I don't think they did a hell of a lot wrong. The only thing is that their attacks felt a bit predictable, and there's no flair. I think Zaccagni had a great moment where he forced another great save out of.
He had a good game, Zaccagni. And there was a point as well, for example, where he hits a low cross right in front of Magnan across the face of goal, and you see Dia and Isaacson both standing, and Zaccagni loses his mind and starts shouting attaccare, essentially, like attack the ball. And that, I feel like, is what Lazio's problem is right now. Their players aren't inventive enough, and then they don't have a striker who's actually willing to attack and chase and pounce on those loose balls. Dia is more, he operates better, like, you know, with his back towards goal, and he's more of kind of I don't know, he's kind of I'm not going to say a technical striker, but he likes to operate far from the goal. He's not a fox in the box by any means. And Castellanos definitely isn't that either. So they're kind of stuck in this place right now, Lazio, where their players aren't inventive enough and they don't have killer finishers. And their solution to that seems to be to sign Insigne.
It's so
now,
weird.
People have been DMing us on Instagram. What do you make of this?
I mean,
I think it's rubbish.
What I also make of it is what you said earlier, that if a coach wants a player, then let him bring him. Now, there's not much cost associated to Insigne, so sure, bring in Insigne. I'm just worried about why you're talking about Insigne when your best player is your left winger.
Exactly.
And you're talking about a 34-year-old left winger who was just playing in the MLS. One of my favorite players in Serie A ever, Insigne. I have a real soft spot for him. I think he's great. I have his kit, but not the signing to be made. They should be looking at a striker. They should be looking at an inventive midfielder, someone that can create something, some kind of guy that can run the ball forward and have a crack from distance or find a defense splitting pass. Just someone with a bit of balls in this fucking team, man. I know Guendouzi has balls, but it's a different kind of player, you know. He's not going to create a goal-scoring action.
Yes, they can hold the team to a draw. The problem is when they have to edge it out, they don't have that individual brilliance. They don't have that... like, you look at this midfield, the most impressive for me, in my opinion, this game was Bazic, right? So Bazic isn't going to exactly penetrate your defense with a through pass, or... I mean, Grant, he scored a great one. Who was it against Juve? He scored the Bazic.
I think it was Juve.
No, but that was a one-off. You know, you need players who can do this consistently. So the hard work is there. They run. It's like the opposite problem of what we're used to with Lazio. We remember Lazio with Milinkovic-Savic, with Immobile, with Luis Alberto, saying there's so much quality, but no one's doing the dirty work. Now it's the opposite.
And with the coach that they have as well, with the adjustments that he made after the Torino draw, Nuno Tavares isn't starting. Now, right, they're playing Pellegrini instead, who is probably more sound defensively than Nuno Tavares is.
Tactically astute.
But there needs to be some kind of plan B where you switch to a 3 at the back and you play Tavares as your left winger and you put Zaccagni striker or behind the striker or something like that.
The
I feel
thinker,
like
man.
no, because if you have a weapon, you have to use it. You have to use the weapons
especially
that you
when
have.
you're transfer banned and limited. You have to be a bit inventive. Agreed. Yep.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's pretty much it for this
So-
game. Very interesting to see what's going to happen on Thursday in the Coppa. I wouldn't be surprised if Lazio get the victory over there, man, because they are pissed.
Yep, absolutely. And nice to see, by the way, Della Bashiru registered and playing this match.
Yes,
He came in.
it was a bit of a...
bit of a
let's
weird
unregister
situation.
him. Let's
Yeah.
register him. It's like Jake on FM with his
Yeah.
new left back.
Exactly. I bought a new left back on FM and forgot to register him, and then he got super angry and wanted to go out on loan. No one wanted him. It was a disaster, guys. And then by the time that eventually I could register him, I afforded an upgrade, an even better player, so he never ended up playing.
Yeah.
Cox, his name is.
Shout out Cox.
Nice moment between Pedro and Modric at the end, two legends of the game.
Nice. Of course. They probably played each other in the El Clasico before.
Many times.
Mhm.
Probably, yeah. So that is that, and we can move on to the next game, which is also a massive game. We have Roma versus Napoli. It was a 1-0 victory to Napoli. This is known as the Derby del Sole.
Yes.
The Derby of the Sun in English, also known as the Derby del Sud, Derby of the South. And it is because these are the two most popular clubs outside of the north of Italy. Roma being from the center of Italy and Napoli, of course, being from the south.
Yes.
It is worth mentioning that for this game, Napoli had 48 hours more rest than Roma and looked a little bit fresher. And here are some stats for you guys to dig into while you're stuck in traffic. By match day 12, Roma had the best defense in Serie A, conceding only 6 goals in 12 matches, of course. The last team to do better at that stage, so last week, was Napoli in 2021-2022 with 4 goals conceded in the same number of games.
Jeez Louise.
Roma were the sole leaders after 12 match days last week, something they hadn't done since 2013 under Rudy Garcia.
Garcia.
When they led with 32 points.
That's crazy. Rudy Garcia of all people.
And it was also against Atalanta that David Neres scored his first ever Italian brace. When-
2 women in one night, David.
Oh, yes. More like an indica and a sativa on one night. Head to head. So Gasp and Conte have faced each other a total of 11 times, with Conte winning 7 times, 2 draws and 2 Gasperini victories. But let's get to the lineup.
I want some money on this game.
God.
I can do the lineup read if you want.
Don't worry, it's fine. Just my screenshot's a little bit blurry.
That's fine. If you become a patron, Jake will have a non-blurred screen, guys. That's all
Thanks,
we need.
guys.
Just one more, please.
I just needed 3 more euro to do it, and I
Exactly.
just couldn't find them anywhere. So it was Svilar in goal for Roma, with Mancini and Dica and Hermoso at the back. Of course, this was a 3-4-2-1 formation, with Celik and Wesley as the wing-backs, Cristante and Kone in the middle, with Saule and Pellegrini playing behind Ferguson.
What did you call him?
Bro, I'll explain to you why I called him that after this episode.
Okay.
Milinkovic-Savic was in goal for Napoli as they played a 3-4-3 formation with Buongiorno, Rahmani and Bokem at the back. Oliveira on the left, Di Lorenzo on the right with McTominay and Lobotka in the middle, Noah Lang on the left, David Neres on the right, and Rasmus Højlund playing up front. 3 excellent names in that front.
Yes,
3.
man. Yes.
Noah Lang, Rasmus Højlund and David Neres.
Really cool names.
Really great names. Great names.
Dream blunt rotation, huh?
Against Roma, of course, Napoli nailed the perfect away game plan in vintage Conte fashion. This was a deep block. We're talking a very disciplined defense and super fast and direct transitions, particularly by Neres in the 36th after Rahmani's tackle on Conte as he drove out from his own half, played it to Højlund to set him
On
through.
who, sorry? Because you said Conte.
On Kone.
Kone.
Yeah, Neres drove out from his own half, of course, played the ball to Højlund, who set him through to finish cleanly. But Roma, on the other hand, had around 56% of the ball, of possession. But as we know, of course, possession doesn't seem to bother Napoli, and in fact, they tend to thrive, right, when they don't have much of the ball. 2 shots on target for Roma tells the whole story, of course.
Yeah.
So it was brutally efficient from Napoli, no overcommitments, no bullshit build-up. It was very direct, very well planned, very well drilled. They were patient, and they did have a few moments where they released players into one-on-one positions, including Noah Lang as well, who did find some luck behind that Roma defense. Roma's possession game lacked verticality and incisive passing to break their block.
Very true.
I think their title hopes, to be honest, rests on if Gasperini can find a solution beyond this slow build-up, because against tight teams they're showing to be quite limited, quite frankly.
It almost feels like Napoli had a gear that Roma didn't. I think that
could be the fatigue as well, the midweek action. And the fact that Roma's squad isn't as deep as Napoli, so they don't have the luxury of rotation as well. But to be honest with you, Napoli did look like they had tactically just a better setup than Roma. They were way more street smart than they were, and they hit them where it hurt. And Roma, they moved the ball quite slowly, didn't they?
Roma did move the ball slowly. I think there was like one really good attack where Pellegrini looked like his prime down the left wing. He was rolling the ball, and he beat a couple of players.
In fact, one of my points is that I haven't seen Pellegrini this fit in ages.
Yeah. No, Pellegrini, to be fair, looked one of the better players in the team, to be honest, with his limitations, of course, but he did. There was something to him in this game. But there wasn't anything to the number 9, which continues to be an issue. To be honest, I'm quite surprised that he went for Ferguson. Of course, Ferguson got his first goal recently, but I was expecting to see that typical peculiar 2 up top that we see with Gasperini, maybe at the Dybala, Sule.
Or Baldanzi again. He had a good shot when he came on. He moved well.
But this number 9 thing is a real issue, because it doesn't allow them to be direct enough. So of course you can have a slow build up if you don't have someone you can play the ball to, who can hold up the play and involve Pellegrini and Sule. It just doesn't seem like that's a possibility for Roma, who we know that their XG is always low. They struggle to score goals. They've had some more luck recently. I believe they scored 3 in a game recently. But they struggle to score, which are right. Their defensive record is great, but without scoring goals. This is the exact same thing that happened with them against Inter. They conceded an early goal. They couldn't get back into the game, and they didn't pose any threat moving forward.
Yeah. And it is a little bit naive to go up against Napoli, who have been using wingers recently, and Gasperini would have noticed this, right? To go up with such a high line of those players, you know. I mean,
the exact same goal, bro. Bonnie scored like that again
against them.
as well, and even to a degree, Cholito against them. It's constantly the same mistake.
It's a weakness, yes.
But Napoli, on the other hand, this 3-4-3 is really nice. I don't think it's their complete way forward, because if Anguissa's fit, Anguissa's gonna play in a 3-man midfield. But I really like Højlund with Neres and Lang. I've never seen Napoli like this, but this almost reminded me of Spalletti's Napoli, with how quick and how violent they were on the break and how direct they were. Of course, that is contest game style, but last season we criticized Napoli for being slow, and their only outlet for pace, really, was Raspadori.
Yeah, and Spinazzola.
But now there's Neres, Lang, Di Lorenzo charging forward as well, McTominay, so they had a lot more pace to them.
And a lot less pressure on McTominay to arrive late in those areas, because of course you've got runners running in behind.
Yeah, and what about that back 3, man? What about that back 3? Because Beukema finally looked solid. Buongiorno looked like the Buongiorno of Torino, man. Rahmani, classic Rahmani, really winning that ball that led to the goal. This is I can say this is the back 3, this is the back line that Napoli should operate with. They have 3 of the best centre backs in the league there.
3 very, very good centre backs, absolutely top. And it's this is the question, right? Because at Atalanta, Gasperini had the same issue, right? Atalanta's weakness was you play a ball from deep, and you have a fast runner in behind, and you're up against the likes of Gym City, Toloi, blah, 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 that if you're not actually physically in a 50-50 with them, you can probably outpace them. There's Palomino as well, you know, they weren't the fastest. However, the thing is, Atalanta would score 3-4 past you.
Exactly.
So they could concede 1-2, you know?
Exactly.
That's the thing, right? He doesn't seem to have his players up front. He hasn't quite figured out how to get these guys scoring. consistently at least. It seemed to be getting better. However, against Napoli, this will be probably one of the toughest games in the league to score against. So I'm not sure that they're going to lose much sleep over this, especially, the target for them at the moment would be top 4.
Yes, what I would say is that, however, and then, like we said about Inter last week, it is their record against the top teams that concerns me, which is why I confidently put Napoli to win on my bet slip, because it was 3.0 for some
and
reason.
And the head-to-head,
But Roma have lost to Inter, Roma have lost to Milan, Roma have lost to Napoli, and I believe upcoming they have a few tough games. I think they have Juve coming up. Yes, they have Juve coming up. They have Atalanta away.
Oh, this is going to be very telling.
So this is the going into for the Winter Championship. I think Roma will have a bit of a fall, and it is so tight up top that you could already see Roma were first, right? They lost against Napoli. They're fourth now.
Yeah.
Albeit level on points with Inter, who are third. And so they're technically tied second, and then there are tied leaders up top. But just 3 points behind them, a frothing Como and Bologna.
Yeah. You can't really let up pay at the moment.
No, you have to be careful, man.
Absolutely. I thought that this game in particular, Cristante wasn't very good. Just to highlight a little bit of individual, what would the opposite of brilliance be?
I have no idea what the opposite of that is, bro. Stupidity.
Okay. Individual stupidity. Ignorance.
Brilliance.
Sure,
ignorance.
Sure. One little note I noticed on Napoli as well is that Oliveira tends to find himself in positions where he's actually got a good crack at goal and no one plays it. It happened like on 3 instances, man, where he was in a good position and he just didn't receive that pass. So keep an eye on him if Oliveira starts scoring. Maybe they'll start picking him out because his movement is really good.
His movement is good. I'm excited to see Spinazzola back there, however, because coming into this, he was basically the best left back in the league.
And the media is reporting as well that Roma are also looking at Mateta. And please, for the love of God, Milan, don't let Gasperini get his hands on Mateta.
And look, I think Milan have learned from their mistakes when it comes to signings. I think they will go in for Mateta, and I think the fact that it's January now and he's looking to force his way out, I think the price might be a bit more favourable. But we'll see. He'll be great for Roma, man. If he were to join Roma, he could solve a lot of their problems because he's a very technically gifted, sizable forward with great control, cool, calm. In front of the goal, he can head the ball as well. He can chest it down, hit a volley. He's a very well-rounded forward, experienced as well. I think so, man. I think so.
If he doesn't, chop my balls off.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's it, guys. We have new content potentially coming. Nick has just offered for his balls to be chopped off if Mateta arrives and doesn't do well. Also, guys, when you eventually do win 5 games in a row, remember we are waxing one of our patrons live in the studio. So
yes,
shout out to Luca, who has a gift for me, and I just haven't had time to meet him and I feel terrible.
Oh, okay.
So Luca, I love you. I'm sorry.
Luca, we don't have time to meet our grandparents either. Like you're cooler than our grandparents. This is terrible. I'm gonna stop.
Shout out Joey and Mary.
Shout out Joey, Mary, and Rita, bro.
And Rita. Yes.
Neville. Yeah. Off to Pisa, Inter.
Yes, let's.
So Pisa 0, Inter 2. Pisa were coming off a 6-match unbeaten run where they had 5 draws and a win. They missed Stengs, Luzuardi, Estevez, Akinsan Miro, and Quadrado. Inter, coming off a loss in the derby and in the Champions League against Atletico midweek, they missed Mkhitaryan, Dumfries, Palacios, Di Gennaro and Darmian. Gilardino's men lined up in a 3-5-2 with Scuffé in goal, a backline of Canestrelli, Albiol and Caracciolo. He had Angori on the left, Toure on the right, and the midfield 3 of Marin, Abusher and Piccinini, not to be confused with the underwear brand in Malta. Inzola and Meister started up front together so that they can have, essentially 2 defensive midfielders in attack. The way that they play with their back towards goal, man, they're impressive in that sense.
Yeah.
Inter, also at 3-5-2, Sommer in goal, backline of Akanji, Acerbi and Bastoni, Henrique on the right, obviously Dumfries is still out injured, Di Marco on the left, midfield 3 of Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Sucic, with Lautaro and Thuram up top together. So there were early chances for both sides. They both threatened early. Pisa through Touré and Piccinini, and Inter through Thuram and Lautaro. But Inter struggled to find rhythm in the first half. You could tell that they played, and it was really, you could see Inter's fatigue. It almost reminded me of the Inter of last season. In fact, in halftime, Inter had possession, but they struggled to break down Pisa's defensive line, while Pisa were looking really dangerous on the counter. They had a huge chance through Inzola on the break, but he just doesn't have the legs, does he, Inzola? He's got many things, but legs isn't one of them.
And even the finish was wayward there. I mean,
terrible. He drove himself to the worst position, the worst position he could get a shot from. Sorry, Tash, I fucking can't speak. 69th minute, Inter opened the scoring. Of course, Pio Esposito had entered at this point, and he fed Lautaro Martinez with a low cross, and he smashed the ball in from 12 yards into the roof of the net. Amazing stuff by Lautaro. Man. And classic good stuff by Pio Esposito.
Yeah.
When
well,
people
just come on.
They stay horning out over how good he is to pick out opponents with his back towards goal, etc. And his technique and his close ball control, whatever, and his touch. That's exactly what you get. A great player to have in a two up top.
Absolutely.
Then Sorry,
no, he's just very well rounded, right? Like we've mentioned before, he can do any role. Like he can play the Lautaro role, the Thuram role.
Yeah.
If you need him to move, if you need him to be a target man, he can do everything.
Exactly, what a dream on FM, bro. You
Yeah,
can play him as a channel forward. You can play him as a target forward, poacher, anything.
Yeah.
And then in the 83rd, Lautaro doubled his tally and doubled the lead as well. There was some good work by Diouf, who initiated the move here. He sent the ball to Barella, who crossed the ball to Lautaro for a simple finish at the back post to make it 2-0. It was nice to see Barella get involved over there because he struggled a little bit this season, in my opinion. But Inter have bounced back from a very tough week that they had. 2 losses, which is not something that we're typically used to with Inter, and they have kept pressure on both teams. It took 70 minutes for them to open the scoring against Pisa's low block, but Lautaro rose to the occasion. How important is it for Inter to have someone like Lautaro back?
That's massive, and you could see how lethal he was this game, what he's capable of, and when it's his day, he's unplayable. And he used to be notorious for scoring against the big teams, right? And I can't remember the last time he scored against a big team. But he kills the small ones, which is just as important.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they have to start looking to someone else in the bigger games. But in these, give me freedom, give me fire, give me Pisa, or I retire, as the meme goes. So
well put.
I think he's an excellent striker, and on his day he's very capable of scoring, and as you can see, he can bag multiple goals as well and look unplayable.
Yeah, 100%, I agree with you. It was a good reaction by Inter in the second half, in the sense that I don't know what Kivu must have said or did to them. To be a fly on the wall in Pisa's in Inter's locker room in the Pisa stadium, obviously. But they pressed higher in the second half. They moved the ball quicker. They exploited wide spaces a lot more. In fact, those spaces are where Lautaro and then received the ball to score both his goals. Pisa's tactical approach, which is why Inter were struggling so much, had a very, very, very compact back five, and they focused on counter-attack. So they were holding their shape for 90% of the time until they got the ball, where they shot forward and looked for the counter-attack, where... Unfortunately for them, because Akinsan Miro was out, Cuadrado was out, they didn't exactly have the players to counter. In fact, when you look at Nzola and Meister trying to counter, they don't have the legs and the movement to be able to do that. It's almost like you need to leave those guys up top and play the ball to them, and they knock it down. They were good. It's a good setup for Inter's tough back three to have 2 big motherfuckers in the box like that, but it worked against them, I feel.
I agree, man. I agree. Meister seems to do well with the ball on the edge of the area. I think he can actually pull off a trick over there and cut inside quite well. Nzola is meant to be good in these situations. We remember a game against Inter, actually, where he had the best game we've ever seen of Nzola, when he was with Spezia, I believe it was. Was he at Spezia or had he moved already?
It was at Spezia.
It was at Spezia, right? But he just hasn't been the same, quite frankly. He can hold up the ball very well. In that one game against Inter particularly, he actually turned and charged at the defence and caused lots of problems. But he hasn't looked like that since.
Not at all, not at all. Inter, however, they showed good flexibility. In possession, they shifted to a more attacking 4-3-3 shape with Lautaro as a central striker and likes of Esposito and Diouf supporting. Out of possession, they compressed the midfield to deny Pisa's transitions. I feel like they reacted well in the second half. Luis Enrique's role was like made. He was supposed to stretch Pisa and their compact back line, but every time he had the ball, he seemed to pass the ball back. He's so low on confidence. We know what he can do. I've seen clips of him in Marseille in that documentary series that they're making of them. He looks like a top player, but he just hasn't done it. I think the role is confusing him because he's not a right wing back.
It could also be an instruction as well. Did you notice these passes when they had the lead or throughout the whole game?
Throughout the whole game. I think especially when they didn't have the lead and they needed him to create something. He's a bit...
Yeah, in fact, he's got 96% pass accuracy in
there
the
you
opposition
go.
half. That's very telling. You don't want that.
I think he's looking for a move to one of these Moneyball teams, man. He's looking to rack up the stats.
Milan right now are like, oh my god, this guy's got 96%.
Yeah.
Sign Emerson Royal.
I want to have a look at Inter's upcoming fixtures before we move on.
I can tell you. They've got Venezia next in the Coppa. They've got Como in the league, then Liverpool in the Champions League, followed by Genoa, and then Bologna in the Super Cup final.
Yeah. Okay, so and then their tough running comes in throughout just after the Christmas period. So they have away to Atalanta, home to Bologna, away to Parma, and then home to Napoli. So they have a few tough fixtures coming up over there. The only reason I'm saying this is because, of course, good win for Inter over here, but it's interesting to see how they will continue to face up against the Seven Sisters, because that's really where they've struggled
right
this
now.
season.
We've got Inter and Milan in opposite spots. Milan are beating the top teams, and we're curious to see if they can beat a lowly team. And it's the other way around for Inter, right?
Exactly.
A very curious case. We'll see how it develops.
Over to you, brother. I believe the next game is Atalanta Fiorentina.
Oh, yes, it is. So, before we start, I'm going to take you on a trip down memory lane. We're talking 18th May, 1996.
You just know Jake loves four players. You just know.
Fucking right, I do. Fiorentina won the Coppa Italia in Bergamo. We're talking 1996, okay? And they beat the home team, Atalanta, in the second leg of the final after winning 1-0 in the first leg at the Franchi. Fiorentina won 2-0 in Bergamo with goals from Amoruso and Battistuta.
Oh,
so there's a little bit of beef historically, of course, because of this final. We're going to go even further back. 2nd February 1964.
Oh, wow.
Kurt Hamrin scored 5 goals in a single match at Bergamo.
Jesus.
This result was Atalanta 1, Fiorentina 7.
Jeez,
and
Louise.
this remains the only instance in Serie A history of a player scoring 5 goals in an away match.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. Atalanta have 13 points after 12 match days. Well, yeah. The team hadn't started worse since 2014-2015 when they had 10 points and only secured survival in the final round with 37 points, finishing 14th. Yes. And also Atalanta are the only team this season to not get a penalty.
Oh, wow. Thank God, because you'll have Lookman punching everyone in the face for it.
Absolutely. Now, wait a second while I pull up the lineup, because once again, it's blurry.
No worries.
So here
Feel
we
free to
go.
read from my at any point.
We've got Carnesecchi in goal for Atalanta in a 3-4-2-1 formation. Kosunu, Hien and Jim City were at the back with Bellanova on the right, Zappacosta on the left, Ederson and Deroon in the middle, with De Ketelare and Lookman playing behind Scamacca. As for Fiorentina, it was De Gea in goal in a weird formation that looks like a 3-1-4-2. Ranieri, Mari and Pongracic were at the back with Fagioli operating in front of the defence. Curiously, mysteriously, Lord knows why. Parisi on the left, Dodo on the right, with Som and Mandragora in the middle playing behind Piccoli and Keane. Now, Atalanta responded pretty much after many doubts were starting to come about, right? Is Palladino really the person to change them? When are they going to start looking like themselves again? This was a much needed bounce back for them after a run of bad results, quite frankly. The the club's DNA at the end of the day, when you look at Atalanta and you think of Atalanta's DNA, we don't think of the 80s, we don't think of the 90s or the 70s or the 60s or anything like that. We think about a few years ago.
Yeah.
So we think about intensity, we think about pragmatism, this collective work ethic, this attacking system. That is what Atalanta's DNA is, right? Nowadays. So it's nice for them to reconnect to their values, and they seem to do that this game from minute one. Atalanta pressed with purpose. They didn't really build up from the back totally freely. They crowded the midfield. They forced Fiorentina into uncomfortable zones, cut off central passing lanes, and forced Fiorentina to play wide, which was quite uncomfortable for them. Once they got possession, Atalanta, they attacked very directly. The transitions were sharp, they were forward thinking, one quick pass, two maximum, players break into space, especially exploiting the channels behind Fiorentina's fullbacks whenever they pushed up, which they love to do. In midfield, of course, they showed a lot of energy and cohesion. Palladino had said, battle for every ball, fight for every meter, and it was evident. Fiorentina's midfield, when trying to build off, and found themselves under immediate pressure and were unable to progress the ball comfortably. So the lead actually was got by Kosuno in the 41st minute, who I'm pretty sure attempted a cross, right?
100%.
As we discussed in the intro. There's no way he actually meant that shot. And it ended up in the back of the net, yes. And in the 51st minute, so they scored at the first goal at the end of the first half, and the second goal at the start of the second half from a corner, and Lookman converted the rebound straight into the roof of the net. Atalanta didn't let up after getting their advantage. They managed the game well, they slowed the tempo down, they kept their defensive shape, and they prevented Fiorentina from gaining momentum. A very mature display. So this game felt a little bit like a hard reset for Atalanta, to be honest with you. They seem to be back to their ways. Granted, it's against one of the statistically and positionally worst teams in the league right now. What did you make of it, brother?
It's like you said, it's against a team that is clearly struggling. But it's also a victory that will get your team confidence, because if you beat Fiorentina, you still beat one of the better teams in Serie A. I know that they've had a slow start, but even just because of the name, you get a victory over them, and it fills you with more confidence than, say, if you get a victory over the likes of, I don't know, Hellas Verona, for example. Who are, I believe, lost at this point. But I feel like Palladino did really well to set up for his opponents, like you said, pushing them to play out wide and cutting those lanes for them to attack through. And he's just reinstilled some kind of attacking purpose for Atalanta. Now, of course, the first goal came in the way that it did, but the second goal was a good attack by Atalanta. But it's more the management of the game in general. I'm not saying that they were perfect. Fiorentina had a few opportunities, and Fiorentina themselves looked better than they typically did. But a good victory and a good base for them to work with. They know that this worked. Defensively, it really worked out for them. They defended brilliantly. And in transition, they were quite strong as well. I feel like they finally used Lookman and De Ketelare to their best abilities, which they hadn't done under Juric.
Agreed. And Scamacca is looking better and better. He's really he's a very talented player. Of course, we're very aware of this. And if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a massive asset to them. And we're talking about a player who will potentially be not potentially, he would easily be in the top 10 goal scorers every season
100%.
if he's fit throughout the whole thing. I was very impressed by how compact Atalanta were. Carnesecchi was very good. Kosuno, Hien, Jim City, all great. For me, once again, the weak link for Fiorentina was actually Pablo Mari at the back.
I don't like him.
At this point, just bring Comuzzo in. I understand that you want to keep a young player out of the spotlight in these hard times, but Mari, man, I think he needs a bit of a break from the pitch, to be honest, to recollect.
I don't like him at all. As in, he had a few good blocks in certain moments, but opponents cook him, man.
They do. They
cook him. You saw Vlahovic cook him time after time last week. You saw him get cooked again this week. You put him up against the likes of, I don't know, Ademola Lookman, and then, like, how do you expect him to perform. It's good to note that, of course, Atalanta were also coming off a victory to Eintracht Frankfurt, who they played on Wednesday, and
Yes.
Fiorentina must have also.
They lost in the Conference League.
No way.
Yep, and now in the table, a
To
team
Athens.
to Athens. Yes, a team called Sigma is above them now.
Oh my god, bro.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes,
A lot of things happen in Sigma.
So it's a bit of a situation right now. I think I think Fiorentina need to really convince their fans to get behind them and really find that first win, man, because the morale is so low and it's so difficult to do anything, and you're constantly seeing Keane hitting the post and not quite getting things. It's so frustrating for them, and I actually think Fiorentina have been improving. They've been playing better. And especially since Vanoli has taken over. They haven't been playing poorly. But the thing is, bad result after bad result after bad result, man, it's just going to take its toll on you, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And every time they go in, they know if we're not going to win this game, oh my God, it's going to be a fucking disaster. Because fans in Florence are very passionate, the ones that aren't American. Americans are also passionate, but just if you've ever been to Florence, it seems like there are more Americans than there are Italians. Will they get their first win away to Sassuolo next week? Hopefully those Florence fans make the travel to Modena and they actually turn up.
This could be the game.
That stadium.
You could fill it up. It could be like a home game.
But you know what, man? I don't like how they play. Two things, man. Three things. They need a signing in midfield, in my opinion.
What kind of profile? A physical one, no?
Someone, like I similarly said, someone that's a bit box to box, that can a Manu Kone of sorts, that kind of profile. Let me just pull up their starting 11.
So
to
many
make
teams
sure.
have. I mean, that's a given, right? That's a must-have in your team.
Completely.
Milan didn't have one of those last season. It was a disaster.
Exactly.
You need someone to break the play
And
down.
now they have Rabiot.
Yeah.
That kind
and
of
for
players.
Fofana,
Also.
you pack the midfield with three, and they can all contribute defensively.
So that should be Som, right? Som, who has the physicality. You've got Fagioli, that's supposed to be the regista. They just have players that aren't good enough. So Fagioli, is he good enough to be the starting regista? He can be a good regista, but not good enough to be the starting regista. You've got Som, who's supposed to be a bit more of the physical outlet. Could be better, is getting better, is new to the team, whatever. Mandragora should be that guy who makes the late runs into the box, etc. He does that, but he can easily be neutralized as well. That's one. Two, Mari needs to get out of the team. I think Pongracic has certain qualities.
He's improving as well.
That make him a player that can create something from the back. I think Ranieri is quite sound defensively, and he's invasive as well. He gets all up in your shit. He'll put 3 fingers in your ass if you're not looking. Mari, he just looks good, man. Mari's a handsome fuck, but he has nothing other than that. He's 6'5", and like, you don't see him tower headers away. You don't see him getting into challenges. You just see him get cooked time and time again. I'm exaggerating.
Yes, he only knows how to play one way, right? And it's that physical approach. And we saw it against Vlahovic. That was the most shocking one for me because he kept going for the same approach and not learning. And at that point, like, you go into a 50-50 and you don't win it, and you go into another 50-50 and you don't win it, and you just keep going.
Exactly. This is the thing.
I
don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed. That's all. I don't think he can read an opponent and play to his opponent's weaknesses and try to get in their head, etc. Thirdly, for a team that struggles with fluidity and a team that so far this season they have struggled to release Moise Keane, struggled to release him. Let me turn this into a question. Who do you think empowers Moise Keane more? Goodmanson or Piccoli?
I think so far Goodmanson hasn't done a very good job so far. So I think maybe bringing him on against tired legs was an idea that Vanoli had, maybe as well because of the...
Sure. I can take that.
Could have played a part. But I think Goodmanson would be the ideal inventive partner, right? Although I do see I think if you're going to play 2 9s, you need a strong midfield. You can't play 2 9s if you don't have that physicality in midfield and you're getting ran through in the middle, because it creates a bit of an imbalance in your game.
I feel like Keane has to be a lone striker, I'm going to be honest, because he occupies a lot of space. Do you remember Osimhen at Napoli? How much ground he covers in that sense? He's a similar striker to that. He needs space to roam. He can't be... Like, so many times he's on the ball, he tries to run into space and there's just Piccoli in his way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know.
Yeah. For our Atalanta listeners, we'll give you some love right now. The Ketelar looked really good. Nice to see the old guard in Darun and Gym City still putting in solid performances, particularly Gym City. I love Gym City.
And good game by Isaac Yen as well,
Yeah.
who has had moments this season where a lot of people doubted him. And they should still. He's not in the green yet, but he had a better game here.
He did. And I think it's only things will only look up here from Atalanta. I think Palladino's a very good manager, and I really liked what I saw. This was a very street smart performance, and they looked transformed overnight, man.
Yes,
Atalanta.
yes. And also not to mention, so they brought on Zalewski, Pasalic, Sulemana, Kristovic, Kolasinac. They didn't bring on Yunus Musa. They didn't bring on Onestahanor. They didn't bring on Brescianini, Samardzic, and Daniel Maldini, who, okay, Daniel Maldini struggles, but these guys could potentially be game changers when they
Yes,
come on.
and Palladino knows Daniel Maldini.
I think he coached them at Monza, no?
Surely, he must have.
Surely.
Yes. Not sure if the timeline adds up. Let us know in the comments. And fucking smash the like button,
Fuck
guys.
it up,
while you're at
guys.
it.
Fuck it up.
Yes.
Fuck it up.
We don't say that enough. We should say it at the beginning.
Fuck up the like button, guys.
Yes, please. So yes, that is that.
Let's move to Juve. Juve fans, we're looking at you. Juve against Cagliari. They won 2-1. They were coming off back-to-back draws with Torino and Fiorentina, but a very uplifting win away to Bodo Glimt. And I say uplifting because we know how tough that stadium is to go to. I think Cambiaso said he hadn't played on synthetic turf since he was like 12 years old. Not 12, I think he said like 17. But
Yaposaurus Rex, huh?
But it's, you know, it's fucking crazy. You see the way the ball moves on that pitch, man. Honestly, and it was
and apparently
icy.
the quality isn't great of the pitch as well, in the sense that it's not completely flat. Like there were complaints about it.
By the way, Lewandowski, we saw you make fun of Malta's pitch. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, we did.
They did miss Rugani, Milik, Bremer, and Pinsoglio. Cagliari winless in their last 9, coming off a dramatic draw to Genoa, the 3-3, because of the mistake by Caprile at the end. They missed Belotti, Mina, Mazzitelli, and a gentleman named Ze Pedro. Sure.
Yes.
It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for Spalletti's men. Perin in goal, backline of Cope Miners, Kelly and Kalulu. Yes, Spalletti is still doing that. With a few adjustments, stay tuned. Kostic out on the left, McKennie out on the right, and the double pivot of Thuram and Locatelli, with Yildiz and Conceição playing behind Dusan Vlahovic. It was a 3-5-2 for Pizarcane's men, Caprile in goal, a backline of Zappa, Deola in centre-back, and Luperto, Palestra on the right, Aubert on the left, and a midfield trio of Adopo, Liteta, and Foloruncio. Who is Liteta? He is a Zambian youngster who won the Coppa Italia Primavera last season with Cagliari. So welcome, Liteta, to where you belong.
Homegrown, baby. That's the theme
Homegrown,
of this
baby.
Cagliari side, man. Their coach, homegrown. Lateta,
Homegrown.
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Borelli and Esposito up front together. They both scored last game. And you know what?
What?
Esposito scored this game as well. Cagliari started aggressively. It was Palestra that pressured Kostic immediately. Palestra, I just have to say, he is... You've been mentioning him for ages. Flowers to you, because he is... I'm noticing him now. He's been really fucking good.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm going to. I have a thing for fullbacks. I spot them.
It's
I don't know
true,
what
it's
it is.
true,
On
it's
Fanta
true.
Calcio. I think it's because of Fanta Calcio. I remember taking Di Marco when he was at Hellas Verona, when he broke out. Bellanova when he was at Torino, I believe it was. Zortea at Cagliari. I do have a tendency.
I think you used to talk about Bellanova when he was at Milan, bro.
Yeah, bro, I had Bellanova on an FM. I had Gabian midfield on one of the football managers.
Oh
he was a
my
midfielder
God.
back then. I had him
Louise.
like developed into a
Wow,
midfielder.
Gabi as a midfielder must be a bit of a cristante.
Yes,
that
thankfully he's a
thing.
centre back.
Thankfully he's a centre back. But Palestra pressured Kostic into a mistake. The pressure led to Esposito scoring the opener after Juve's defensive lapse. This came after Pizarcane plead. He's like, Esposito, look, we've got Belotti out injured. You need to score more goals. And that's 2 goals in 2 games now. Juve's response, they found their equalizer as Kefren Thuram linked with Kenan Yildiz for a first-time strike from 14 yards. It was like on the half volley brilliantly hit by Kenan Yildiz. Shortly after, Vlahovic went off injured with a muscular problem. I have some notes on that later. He was replaced by Jonathan David. And then just before half-time, in stoppage time of the first half, Yildiz collected a Kalulu pass, dribbled past a defender or two, and finished into the bottom corner, completing the comeback. That was a classic Yildiz goal. The way that he'll have his back, he'll be facing like towards the left from wide in the box. But I don't know how he gets... So... That's the post. The post. He is on the edge of the area to the left, looking at the left, running towards the left, running away from goal. And he gets his shot away, drags it to the right, perfectly into the bottom corner. Just a vintage finish into the far corner by Kenan Yildiz. That's where he's so good. And he is back because of two reasons. Spalletti, but where Spalletti is playing him, man. He is, and I always say this, and I will drill it home forever. Play him in the middle. Play him closer to goal, because he is one of the most press-resistant youngsters I've seen on the ball.
And he's a natural in front of the
Yes,
ball.
man.
He has that instinct. It looks
instinctive.
effortless. You see some seasoned strikers who find it difficult to shoot from
exactly.
that situation.
And when was the last time Yildiz had scored this season? Against Inter. Inter, who struggle in central areas where Yildiz was getting a lot of success. Yildiz needs to be played more in the center, and I think that is something Spalletti has noticed, because he looked to play like that in the Bodo Glimt game as well, where, by the way, David and Openda both scored. It's important to mention that because Vlahovic has picked up quite a nasty injury.
3 months.
3 months out, it was announced today. He suffered a high-grade injury to the muscle tendon junction on the left adductor longus.
He's injured his long junk.
His long junk Johnson, bro.
His junk longus.
But bro, don't mention Vlavic's junk jungus, because there was a TikTok of him sustaining a cock injury once and holding it with two hands like a fucking hog, and the comments were girls losing their minds.
Taking the piss.
I swear on my life. For Serbia this was, but anyway. All right. But this, at times, so we're talking about Spalletti still playing the 3 at the back formation. But it does look like a 4 at the back when they're attacking. That looks like a 4-3-3 when they're attacking. Cope Miners looks like he's further up. Kostic and... who was on the right again? Kostic and McKennie go really far forward, almost to become, the wingers for Vlahovic, or for whoever's playing striker. So you look at Kostic and McKennie going in a 3 up top, pretty much. And then you have Yildiz and Conceição in the midfield, just behind Vlahovic. It's a really... Kalulu moves to right back, naturally. Locatelli slots into defense.
Kalulu has also been operating kind of like an offensive center back, kind of like Bastoni. He's been moving up a lot, and it kind of, in a way, when you look at the heat map, it looks a bit like a 4-3-3, which is what Spalletti likes.
Exactly. So I think he is much like Conte when he lines up in a 3-5-2, but it looks like a 4-3-3 or 4-3-3, but it's a 3-4-3. There is a bit of that to Spalletti's game. What's interesting, man, about how he's making a 3 at the back work, because off the ball there are 3 at the back. How he's making a 3 at the back work with Locatelli at the heart of it, because Locatelli looked amazing in this game.
He looked so good.
He didn't used to call him up for Italy. When he did, he used to leave him on the bench. He didn't manage to play a 3 at the back with Italy, but he's making it work at Juve so far.
Yeah, somehow. That track record would make you think otherwise, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. But out of possession, they compressed the midfield quite well. They forced Cagliari to play wide. They limited penetration centrally. For Cagliari, it was a compact defensive block with counter-attacking intent. Palestra exploited wide channels, but the team struggled to sustain attacking pressure after Juve equalized. So the momentum was totally in Juve's favour after that equalizer. For Juve, it is 3 wins and 3 draws for Spalletti so far. And I think they will continue to improve.
Yeah, for sure.
It's obviously hard to make a prediction of will they fight for top 4, will they fight for the league. It's still so bloody early. We're going to see so many things change. And now with Vlahovic out injured, how much can they get out of David and Openda? That's the big question moving forward now.
And which of these teams will be, again, consistent against the bottom ones, and which one will suffer in head-to-heads? Because that's the the big question, right, for everything, and the massive uncertainty. I think the most consistent teams. I think you have to guarantee Napoli and Milan in top 4, right?
I think so.
Yeah, at
I
this
think
point. They look ruthless, and I think Milan will eventually, hopefully, to be honest, sort out the matches against the lower teams.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing that needs to be addressed. Inter are there, obviously, you know, and they're on par with Roma when it comes to the standings. I feel like both teams will get better. However, Inter, we'll have to see if the manager and the long haul actually does start to show, because they have dropped some ridiculous points, and they have also lost to direct opponents, which isn't a good look whatsoever. Juve can definitely sneak in there. They have 23 points. Fourth spot, you need 27 to get in right now. To be honest, it all depends as well, bro, on the market. We are in December. What is everyone going to do? The season's about to change. Teams are going to look completely different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know if Juve will have much activity.
I think if you had to go based solely on managers, you would guess, I would say that Allegri and Conte and Spalletti make the top 4.
I would say so.
And then it's that fourth spot that's up for grabs. You've got the likes of Gasperini, Italianos lurking, Kivu is there. You know, it's definitely a good season, man.
Amazing for
impossible to
managers. And now, bro, look at this. So I was gonna say Juve. I always fancy Juve to get something out of a big game. So they drew to Milan. They beat Inter. They have a good record always because Juve is a tough stadium to go to with the atmosphere. And Juve is a team that intimidates people because they're the biggest team historically in the league, right? Domestically. I stress domestically. Their upcoming games now are those direct encounters. They've got Napoli away next. And then they've got Bologna away. And then they've got Roma home. In these 3 games, we could be if Juve go on a crazy run in these 3 games, in these 6-pointers, they can gain so much ground. We can be talking about them as title contenders.
Yeah.
We can talk about what a great team they have. We can be talking about how Yildiz is back. We can be talking about Spalletti. He knows how to win the league, etc.
Yeah.
So things can change a lot.
Yes, but also things need to be addressed in their team. We're talking about, for example, and now I'm not sure, as you said, you said correctly, I'm not sure if they'll get a market. Because obviously we don't know who the coach is. They're not just going to throw money at Spalletti, I would think, right? If he's on a contract till the end of the season. But the centre-backs need to be addressed, right? A centre-back ideally needs to be brought in. And the funny thing is that all these strikers and that position is still a doubt, right? Like, what the hell is going to happen here? Thankfully, as you said, for them, David and Openda did score midweek, which is perfect timing considering Vlahovic's injury. So we'll see if Spalletti can actually mold one of them into a starter. I find that a little bit hard to imagine right now, but football changes like
That's
this.
true. Bro, just a few goals is all they need.
Exactly.
Were you going to make a point on Kostic? Because I saw you circulating him and I wanted to make a point on Kostic as well.
He had 2 very good games and then this one was awful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not much more to
Yes,
add than
the
that.
goal was all his fault.
Let's move to Cagliari because I'm aware that we're still quite behind for the time that
and we're
it is.
definitely over an hour.
It's an hour and a half in. I just want to say Cagliari, we've seen this before from teams that have a really positive start and then do not undermine that they are 9 games without a victory. They look good. They look capable of scoring goals. They've scored 13 goals so far this season, which is, just 2 less than Roma so far. I don't see them getting relegated or anything like that, but it needs to be addressed. I feel like he had a good start, Pisacane, but now, the going got tough, so the tough needs to get going, no?
Yeah.
They're capable of more.
Yes.
Maybe not in this game, but they are capable of more.
Yes, they've lost to teams that are clearly better than them.
Yes.
And then the teams that are on par or slightly better, they seem to be drawing. We're talking a draw against the likes of Udinese, Hellas, Como, and Genoa. But they need to win. Yes, absolutely. Correct.
Agreed. On to you, brother.
Yes, sir. So the next one we're going to be discussing is Bologna 1, Cremonese 3. Now remember that Cremonese had not won in Bologna since the 12th of April 1987 in Serie B, which finished 2-0 thanks to goals from Marco Nicoletti and Attilio Lombardo.
Oh my god, I'm low-key surprised you'd say the 12th century. That's what I was expecting you to say.
Yes, in 17 BC. Bonucci. Bologna were unbeaten in the league since the 14th of September when they lost 1-0 at home to Milan. Since then, they had recorded 6 wins and 3 draws and gathered 21 points. That is before they met the likes of Cremonese. Not the likes, the wrath of Cremonese.
Exactly,
the
the
fury,
wrath.
the
Cream of Nese.
Yes, the cream of knees. There have been 6 official meetings between Italiano and Davide Nicola. The Bologna coach, Italiano, leads the head-to-head 4-1, with 1 draw completing the record. So that's that, yes. Now, let me just pull up the lineup.
Exactly. Let's give him a second, guys.
Yes, please.
Let's be a bit patient. I'm gonna play some games with you guys. What lineup do you think Bologna had? What formation do you think they
Who
played?
do you think was in goal?
Who do you think was in goal?
It was Ravaglia. If you said Skorupski, you are wrong. Moving on to the right back. No. So, imagine that. Great content. Zortea and Miranda were the fullbacks in Italiano's 4-3-3 formation that looked a little bit more like a 4-2-3-1 this game. Casale and Lukumi were the centre-backs with Pobega and Moro as the double pivot, Orsolini on the right, Dominguez on the left, and Odgaard playing behind Castro. As for Cremonese, it was a 3-5-2 formation with Audero in goal, the pride of Indonesia, Bianchetti, Baschirotto and Terracciano at the back, with Warren Bondo screening the defence, Barbieri on the right, Pezzella on the left, with Van de Putte and Pagero on the middle, Jamie Vardy and Bonazzoli up front.
So fucking cool, man.
So cool. And look at this, they're playing 2 9s, right? But they've got Bondo to do a lot of the defensive dirty work.
Yeah.
Pagero and Van de Putte can both contribute defensively as well, especially Pagero.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
So yes, Fiorentina need to take a page out of the Cremonese book. Who would have thought this season?
The plan from Bologna seemed to be dominance through possession this game. They ended with about 65% ball possession and 13 corners to Cremonese's 8. Despite the dominance, the structural risk, of course, was there. They had the ball a lot. They left a lot of space behind them, and Cremonese were very aware of this. Cremonese, in fact, did score early thanks to a well-timed long pass over the top from Bianchetti, who can really ping a pass. Pagero broke through. You remember Pagero from Udinese, and he finished very calmly and wheeled off in celebration. Then minutes later, they sprung an offside trap again. They caught the defense flat, and veteran Jamie Vardy hit the back of the net, showing great awareness and speed and, quite frankly, instinct, man. That's the interesting thing of Vardy. That's still as good as it was when he was in his prime, is his instinct. That ability to just look up and finish.
Exactly.
You know?
No hesitation. He's never caught between two minds. He knows what he's going to do and he does it.
Yes, and not to mention as well, bro, he is in short bursts very fast.
Yes, rapid. His acceleration,
Yes.
man.
Oof.
Rapid.
Yeah. Right before halftime, Bologna got a penalty and pulled one back through Riccardo Orsolini. That goal gave them hope, but it was all false hope. One of our patrons said, I think it was Apo, he said, I'm putting the house on a Bologna comeback when they were at 2-0. When they scored the penalty, must have been licking his lips. But of course, that never happened. After the break, Cremonese did anything but sit back. They stayed compact defensively, yes, but they attacked very intelligently at any opportunity they could. They punished Bologna again in the 50th minute. Vardy yet again. It was a cross from Barbieri on the right after Bianchetti had pinged another ball over the top to Barbieri. Yes, bro, I thought this was an awesome game by Cremonese. They got close. Bologna hit the post twice, but I believe Cremonese also hit the post once, so it wasn't like you could say that Bologna were unlucky or anything like that. You know, this was thoroughly a well-deserved victory from Cremonese, who outplayed their opponent entirely.
I thought so, and I thought their game plan was strong, right? They were going to play really vertical and they were going to cut the bullshit, basically. Bologna played their own dominant game. They pressed their line up high, and Cremonese noticed that, and hey, that's another huge win for Cremonese. This is the only team to beat Milan so far this season, and I believe Bologna had only lost 2 games up until this point. So Cremonese definitely know how to play against the bigger teams, and that is because they know how to absorb pressure and they know how to hit on the counter. They have a really good team. I think Van de Putte is very creative in the midfield. And I think they've got a lot of well-rounded players who are always ready to fight. I mean, look at Bondo, for example. Look at Barbieri. Look at Bonazzoli. Baschirotto as well. These are fighters. Eh? They've all got attitude to them. And who's their coach? Davide Nicola. A guy that can, if he were to run for Prime Minister of Italy tomorrow, he might win because of the way that he could get people behind him.
Yeah. And we heard that through someone with first-hand experience in the great and wonderful Joseph Menala. Who was in this room?
Go back and watch that episode. I think it was our first episode ever in the studio, man. It was on plastic chairs. We had a blanket over a plastic garden furniture
that
table.
Was surreal.
It was
Joseph
surreal.
Menala.
It was
amazing, to be honest. So Terracciano had the miss of the season. I don't know if you've seen it.
Fuck, I missed it.
Oh man, it was awful. It was right in front of the goal, empty net, bro. I'm talking empty net right underneath the crossbar, and he skies it. It was god awful.
He's had a good season so far, Terracciano.
He has, and he scored a few. And I believe he is on Norbert's Fantacalcio, so he was very upset.
I have him on Fanta, I just didn't start him.
Nice. Bologna hit the post, by the way, through Orsolini, and Cremonese did hit the post through Paggiero as well. But that's pretty much everything we need to say about this game. Moving forward, Bologna need to be a little bit more respectful of their opposition, maybe. Shutting out Van de Putte was not enough. Bianchetti, they totally, I think, were caught off guard by those passes over the top and by the movement of Vardy. I think they didn't expect him to have so much pace. But more than pace, it's his intelligence. It's the way he plays the line. It's the way he takes advantage of defenders stepping up a little bit too high. And they absolutely punished them. And it was fun to watch.
And what a bunch of players, strikers, Cremonese have that can score goals, man. That's Vardy, that's Bonazzoli, that's Vasquez as well, who had scored a doppietta earlier this season, I believe. So they're not short of talent for a newly promoted side who don't scream cash. You know what I mean? They're not a poor team, but they don't scream
Keep
cash.
in mind that Sanabria on the bench and De Luca was there as well at the beginning of the season.
Insane, man. Insane. I love Cremonese. And really close to Milan, guys. Cremona is very close to Milan, so if you go watch a game in the north of Italy, head over, and very good atmosphere in the stadium.
And as Vardy says, Forza Cremo.
Forza Cremo.
Forza Cremo.
Yeah. How many? He must have swapped Red Bulls for espressos now.
Probably, right?
Maybe. Vardy, let us know.
Yes, please, let us know. We know you listen.
Como tu... Okay, let me go on because we're wasting too much time. Como 2, Sassuolo 0. Como have extended their unbeaten streak to 11 matches, the best run since 1986. They were coming off a 5-1 away victory to Torino. They missed Goldan, Niga, Diao, Roberto and Dossena. Sassuolo coming off a 2-2 draw to Pisa. They missed Franks, Bolokas, Skeliup, Turati, among others. 4-2-3-1 formation for Fabregas' men. Boutte in goal, backline of Moreno, Carlos, Ramon and Voivoda. You all know Carlos and Ramon from that Latina party that you went to. Carlos and Ramon at the back.
Yes, they were fighting over Gabriel. From
not X on the Beach, what's it called, that one, man, where that woman cheated on him and he caught her on camera.
God,
Jesus, that broke my heart, man. That was an era, man.
What was his name?
Por favor. No, por favor. What the hell was his name, bro? Smash the like button and let us know in the comments. Cacare and Perrone in the double pivot with Nico Paz just ahead of them. Addai on the right, Jesus Rodriguez on the left, and Duvikas up front. Montoya, por favor. Montoya, defensive midfielder. 4-3-3 formation for Grosso's men. Muric in goal, backline of Valukovic, Itzes, Muharemovic and Doig. Kone, Matic and Tordsvet are the midfield three, with Berardi, Pinamonti and Lauriante leading the line. In the 14th minute, Duvikas opened the scoring. It was a short corner routine that caused confusion in the Sassuolo box. The rebound fell to Anastasios Douvikas, who tapped him from close range. In the 39th minute, Nico Paz attempted, circa the 39th minute, right? He attempted an overhead kick. And, Muric produced a really good save from it. But I particularly found it funny because it was Chris Pine and Michael Fassbender in the crowd. And you could tell Chris Pine and Michael Fassbender. They're actors. They're
thank
always.
God.
They
I
always
didn't
have.
know ball first. Oh wait, you don't remember Nicholas Fassbender from Udinese?
But when there was because they've had Adrian Brody, Terry Crews, I believe Natalie Portman as well.
Yeah.
But there was Helen Mirren. There was the overhead kick, and these two guys, it seems like they weren't watching much of it. Then when this happened, they pretty much took their guns out of their pockets, started shooting. Woo! Yeah! They got a kick from it. But good to see celebrities enjoying Como. 51st minute, Berardi went off injured. I don't have an update on that. If you want to find it, would be great. In the 53rd, and then Moreno scored and he sealed the victory for Como. Paz threaded a perfectly timed looping ball over the defense to Moreno, who headed it past Muric. It kind of hit Muric's shoulder as well. It was quite dusty, but Como extended the lead to 2. There were some late chances. Sassuolo failed to create anything meaningful. Volpato had a really clear chance in the 77th minute, but he bottled it. Como maintained in control, and they earned their victory pretty well. Moreno was interesting because we haven't seen much of him. And he was finding himself in really dangerous goal-scoring opportunities, kind of similar to what you said about that other left-back that you mentioned Oliveira. He was finding himself in a lot of opportunities where he could do something dangerous. It was good to see the inventiveness of that move from Fabregas's team. Also, interestingly, Como have 3 players in the top 10 assisters. They have Paz, who has the most assists in the league with 5, Rodriguez, who is second with 4, and then Perrone, who is 9th with 3. So they've got a lot of inventive players that can create a lot of chances. The problem is, man, Diao is injured again. Diao last season broke his foot and he missed a stretch of last season. I believe he missed the start of this season as well. Then he came back and he re-injured his foot and he was out for 7 games. Now he's injured his hamstring and he's going to be out for he's been out for 3 games already.
Shit luck for him.
Shit luck. He's phenomenal, man. He's phenomenal. He's better than Adai, and Adai is great, but
Adai is on form though.
Yes, but Diao is a goal scorer, bro. Diao
pure.
Diao scored a mental amount of goals last season, a short amount of time.
Berardi, by the way, he'll be back in the new year.
Okay.
If you want to know the details, since we do that over here, a medium grade tear to the flexor of his right leg.
Okay. That's his 3rd injury. That's his 4th injury, bro. He injured his Achilles last season and he missed some of this season. Then he had knee problems and he had a head injury, and now he has this injury as well. So shit luck as well, but an injury-prone player. Como are in 6th on 24 points. They have 6 wins, 6 draws, and 1 loss. They only lost to Bologna. They beat Juve. They drew to Atalanta and Napoli. They now face Inter and Roma away. Then I don't know what's happening with that Milan game because they you just saw Michael Fassbender losing his mind. They now face Inter and Roma away, and then they should be playing Milan at home. But there's that whole Australia thing, bro. Is that game in Australia happening? Is it happening?
They got the go-ahead. I'm not sure. There were definitely some protests happening.
If that's the case, then they play Inter, Roma, and Milan in a row, which is a tough run-in for Como and also the teams that are going to face them as well, because they look good. They look really fucking good.
They do
Como.
look great.
Now, they haven't played these 3 teams yet, to be fair.
But like you said, man, they have very inventive players. So no matter what game plan you seem to take to Como, they can just, you tightly mark someone out of the game. There's always another avenue for danger. You just kind of have to go man for man, I guess, and try to, like we had seen, who was the team that were just playing long balls over the top and getting it behind them over and over and over again?
Against Como?
Yeah.
I forgot.
I can't remember.
It wasn't Cagliari.
Lazio. It was Lazio. Yes, Lazio. That's the way to play them. They didn't take their chances, but that's the way to play
they lost 2-0.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that essentially. I think Sassuolo were just beaten in this game. Obviously, Como started Duvikas in this game, and it's good to see him get a goal immediately, especially since Morata's struggling so much for goals. In the future, I see when Diao is back, him starting as a striker. That's what I anticipate with Diao on such good form, and the fact that they have the likes of Baturina, etc., that can also play in those roles. Paz, of course, every time I watch him play now, I'm sad because he's going back to Real, and there are rumors that he'll go in January.
Yeah,
But I doubt it, I guess.
so upsetting.
It is.
Yeah, that overhead kick was unbelievable.
Ooh, one more thing before we move on. Go check out Como's latest kit. They
It's
just
nice,
dropped a
it's
new
nice.
kit, Revolut sponsor. It's black with orange. Ah!
It is really nice.
Yes.
Yes.
And follow me on Instagram. Over to you, bro.
Fenko97. So, the next game we're going to be... We said we're going to stop saying that.
That's true. I don't know why I thought you
Yeah.
can't say it.
We're going to move on to Lecce 2, Torino 1. This is the most surprising result, I believe, of the
I'd say so.
weekend football. It was actually Lecce's first win of the season against Baroni, who happens to be an ex, of course. But before we start, of course, let's go back to 25th of June 1989. We're talking about the last day of Serie A, and both teams
Can
were
I just say
involved.
it was not Lecce's first win of the season.
It wasn't.
No, Lecce had
No, first
beat-
home win of the season.
First home. Sorry,
Yes.
bro. Sorry.
Effing listening, huh? Yes, so 25th of June 1989, the last day of the Serie A 1988-89 season, and both these teams, Lecce and Torino, were involved in a relegation battle. And the last game was them against each other. Lecce won 3-1 with goals from Benedetti, Barbas and Pachoccio. And a guy called Fuser for Torino. Lecce secured survival while Torino were relegated to Serie B.
Pachoccio is what you call what you in a friendly way say to a child vagina. Like
Yo.
it's there's Duda and Pachoccio,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And then
Hilarious.
Coco is shit.
Yes. Yeah. Lecce had gone 247 minutes without a goal before scoring 2 rapid-fire goals in this game.
Insane.
While Torino have not won since the 26th of October.
Jeez.
Louise.
Papa cheese.
I'm on my knees. So, Falcone was in goal for Lecce. They
He's
lined up in a
nuts.
4-2-3-1 formation with Vega on the right, Gallo on the left, and Gaspar and Gabriel at the back, with Ramadani and Koulibaly playing as the double pivot. Banda on the left, as Nick calls him, Lamine Banda. I love that. I love that. Lamine Banda is excellent. So, let's call him that.
You have
Lamine
to
Banda.
change your name on Fanta to that,
Lamine
bro.
Banda.
Lamine Banda.
That's a good one. Pierotti on the right and Berisha playing behind Stulic. For Torino,
Stulic was not driving the hot dog car.
he wasn't today. No. Israel was in goal for Torino 3-1. Boo.
Oh my god, I wasn't listening and I booed now.
And now that's it, bro. It's over for you. Coco, Maripan, Tamezi at the back for Torino, with Nkunku on the left, not to be confused with Milan's, Pedersen on the right, Genaitis, Aslani and Casadei in the middle, with Adams and Vlasic up front. Interesting to note that Adams tried to score from halfway in the first half.
He's done it
Didn't
before.
Yes, he didn't hit the target though.
K. Adams.
Yeah. Ismaili is injured, I believe. Let's have a look.
Yes, he is injured. He's injured along
Yeah.
with Ilic, Sava, Shores, and Cholito.
Yes. While Lecce
Mr. Gabijan,
Gabi Jean,
Pierret,
he's not my
and
lover.
Marjvinsky.
Yes. Marjvinsky, man, was brought in when they had Giampaolo to
Yes,
play that 10.
the Sousa role,
Yeah,
bro.
and he
Sousa role.
never hit the ground running. So yes, from the 20th minute, Lecce struck twice in just 2 minutes. First through Koulibaly from a corner, and then via Banda after a swift move from Berisha, who got the assist on both goals. Those 2 early blows forced Torino to chase the game, and that changed its pace and played directly into Lecce's hands, which is what they would have wanted to do.
Yep.
And they would have been probably laughing at halftime, thinking, "Oh my God, how the hell are we doing this?" Lecce looked compact, committed, they absorbed pressure, they were disciplined, they kept their shape, they forced Torino into uncomfortable transitions and prevented them from building up consistent rhythm. And every time Torino tried to push forward, Lecce just tightened and closed gaps and dared Torino to beat them through wide play, which they quite frankly couldn't do. When Torino finally broke through in the second half via Adams, it felt like the pendulum might swing, and Lecce did do quite well. They refused to panic, but there was some drama at the end as a penalty was awarded, as Tete Morente, who tried to clear the ball, ended up clipping, and by clipping I mean he kicked the shit out of Saul Coco. Aslani stepped up to take the penalty, and Aslani has a pretty good record with Inter. I don't recall him ever missing at Inter.
I think he scored 3 out of 3 for Inter.
He stepped up. Falcone is there standing tall. Aslani did that little stutter where he waited. Falcone didn't move, and he tracked the ball and saved it absolutely brilliantly and heroically, and it was just a moment. It was a beautiful moment for Lecce.
In front of their fans as well.
Such
a passionate group, the fans. One of the southern teams of Italy, which is a rarity.
And it's a player who's been serving them for so long in Falcone, who's been so important to them, who doesn't seem to get the recognition he deserves. So it was nice for him to have his moment as well. You could see how much it meant to him when he was celebrating. Yes, but it's paradise for Lecce. This is a win that will be crucial going forward, because it's always these isolated random wins that cut you off from the drop.
And in fact, it's exactly what happened, because they shot up to 14th on 13 points, bro.
Absolutely. Yes.
There's just a point behind Torino, so this was a real 6-pointer for them, bro. Just 3 points behind Atalanta.
To play without pressure, because individually they're one of the weaker teams.
But, bro, 3 wins, 4 losses, 6 draws. Sorry, wrong. 3 wins, 4 draws, 6 losses. That is not a terrible record after 13 games for Lecce.
Considering they don't sign big players, or not even big players, they run at a constant profit.
Yes.
So if they sell Dorgu, if they sell anyone, Kristovic, they don't reinvest.
Yeah.
And I think part of their model is maybe they don't even mind getting relegated because of the parachute payment. Because they're operated kind of like a business, you know. They do over 3 years in Serie A, they go down, they come back up, they get their parachute payment, whatever. Torino, on the other hand, are in a bit of a situation. They're in a pickle, man. They're in a rut.
The headlines say winless in 5, eh?
That's it.
Draw to Bologna, draw to Pisa, draw to Juve, loss to Como. Well, losses, to put it lightly. And then a loss to Lecce.
Yes. Super frustrating for Torino fans who do consider themselves to be one of the most important teams in Italy, a team that should be pushing for European spots.
Bro, and that team that this season beat Roma and beat Napoli.
Yes, so they
have it in
have
them, and now they'll do something against Milan, I can guarantee you, on Monday night.
The problem is they are so prone to disaster, and I think there's a sense of mental fragility when it comes to this side, and perhaps that stems from Baroni, because it's the same fragility we saw with Lazio.
Exactly, bro, exactly.
That the second things don't go well, you know, you concede a goal, you concede one right after, you know?
Yeah.
You concede a goal, you concede again and again and again and again and again.
Exactly.
That's what we've seen happen many times.
They really suffer.
Yes.
When they concede, they suffer and they go through it, man. I just want to highlight Torino's away record in the San Siro. So I believe this last season it was a 2-2 draw. I believe it was the first game of the season that. The game before that, Milan won. The score of 4-1 or 1-0. I think they played each other in the Coppa there. The game before that, Torino won on penalties. No, this isn't the record that I had seen earlier. They sent, bro, on the Milan chat. They sent Milan's record at home to Torino over the past few seasons.
I can pull it up here.
I'd love to read that out.
Yeah, so the last one was 2-1.
Sorry, this is Torino at home.
Okay.
So
go for it.
Last year, so this is, I'm gonna read it in chronological order from last game to like games from years ago. 2-2, 1-1, 1-1, 2-2, 1-1. Torino win 2-0. Torino win 2-1. Torino lose 7-0. Torino draw 0-0. Torino win 2-1, Torino win 3-1, Torino win 2-1.
I remember that 7-0, man.
I remember it as well.
That was a good one. Yeah. You remember who scored that game? Rebic had a hat-trick.
Yes, bro, it was a Rebic hat-trick.
Theo Hernandez scored twice. Kessie scored the penalty. Brahim Diaz. Yes. So Torino will probably step up for the big games, and they seem to play better when they have less pressure. When they against a little team, they have quite a lot of pressure to win. They have expectations, right?
Yeah.
So unless they concede early against Milan, they might actually give them quite a hard time. But yes, this game, well done Lecce. Well done, Di Francesco continues to improve and to develop and to progress.
Come on,
as
Di
a coach.
Francesco.
It's
Come
crazy
on.
because Di Francesco seemed to be at such a high with Roma, where he made it to what was it, the semis, the quarters,
Champions League semi-finals.
After getting Sassuolo promoted and taking them to Europe, he had a really good moment in his career then, but it's all been downhill since then. It's back-to-back relegations, and now it seems that he's learning the pragmatic game and kind of becoming good at it, to be honest.
Yeah, and we saw him improve over time as well with these
other
lowly
teams as well.
sides.
Yes,
but
for
hopefully he can do something with Lecce this
Agreed,
season.
Agreed.
Let's jump to Genoa 2, Hellas 1. I'll do this one quite quickly. What this is, Genoa finally ended their 239-day home curse at the Ferraris, earning their first home win since the 4th of April. They are coming off a win and 2 draws, since obviously appointing Daniele De Rossi. They missed Messias, Norton, Caffey, Cornet and Cuesta. Verona are dead last, winless, coming off a loss to Parma. They missed Castanos, Akpa, Akpro, Serdar and Suslov. Genoa lined up in a 3-5-2, Leali in goal, backline of Vasquez, Ostergaard and Marc Andalli. Martin was on the left, Ellertson on the right, and the midfield trio of Thorsby, Frendrup and Malinovsky. It was Vitinha and Colombo starting up front together. 3-5-2 for Hellas Verona, Montepò in goal, backline of Nunez, Nelson and Valenti, Belgali on the right, Bradaric on the left, midfield trio of Bernede, Gagliardini and Niasse, with Giovanni and Mosquera up front together, no Gift Orban. So for the play-by-play, Verona opened the scoring in the 21st minute through Belgali. It was Ostergaard that gifted the ball to Mosquera high up the pitch. That is Mosquera winning the ball high up the pitch again. Leali parried the resulting shot, but Belgali tapped it in. It was sloppy and avoidable, really, for De Rossi's side would be livid with that start. But in the 40th minute, his side equalised. It was Colombo, where Vitinha drifted wide and fired a low cross to Colombo, a high cross to Colombo, who controlled it and blasted it in. It was a rare moment of clean attacking structure in a very dreary first half. But that was a great ball by Vitinha. It's good to see Vitinha and Colombo combining as the front two.
Yeah.
After halftime, completely different game. Genoa came out like someone lit a bonfire under them. They created 4 chances in quick succession between the 50th and the 55th minute. Vitinha scored offside. Thorsby won everything in the air and he headed one narrowly wide. Ostergaard hit the inside of the post for what would have been his 4th goal in 4 matches as a centre-back. And that was agonizingly close to a 4th consecutive goal. Verona were absolutely wobbling, and that was in the 58th minute that Thorsby scored. It was Ellertson who finally got a clean cross in. Thorsby rose highest and he banged in a header after he won so many headers in this game. It was a classic towering Thorsby goal, really.
Yeah.
Verona made some subs. They brought in Orban and Sar. Orban nearly scored immediately, but Leali rescued Genoa. And then there was some late drama where Leali came out badly and almost gifted Verona the equaliser. Vasquez cleared an Orban shot off the line. Giovanni headed another chance wide, and De Rossi got a yellow card for touchline explosions. Probably the happiest booking of his life, right? Winning some time. But oh my God, crazy game, a game really of moments. It was a really sloppy first half. Second half, Genoa came out, and then after they came 2-1 up, Verona, after they were threatening so much Genoa, they got that goal, and I think instantly they went into defensive mode. Verona made the subs, but classic Verona. They don't play badly at all, but they can't put the ball in the net. They have a lot of nice players who create a lot of chances, but they can't put the ball in the net, man, at all.
It's time to go.
It is time to go.
It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go.
Sack him.
It's
Sack
time to go.
Zanetti.
I mean, the team is too good for this. I'm sorry. Like, And they've been playing too well for this as well. You just have to move on at this point before you get cut off from the others. It's still salvageable. The team's there. You can totally save the season, in my opinion. And even when you look at the CVs of every player they have, even if you don't recognize them, they are all significant players. This Niasse, for example, he used to play with young boys, with Lille, you know what I mean? He's a relatively decorated player. He's not a nobody, you know. He's got top tier experience. Nunez has La Liga experience, of course. We know many of these guys from the league. The front two are very nice, in Orban and Giovanni. I think they need to move on from their manager, I think, unfortunately.
Completely, I agree. They should. They need a quick reaction, even if they go for someone like Vieira, who's just been sacked, but someone that's going to help them put the ball in the back of the net.
Last season, they kept him bizarrely after a thrashing against Empoli, and he managed to turn their fortunes around.
Can he do the same from last place?
Let us know in the comments.
And smash the like button. Yes. And follow Jake on Instagram. Colombo, 2 goals and 1 assist in the last 3 games. What happened in the last 3 games? They had De Rossi. How many goals and assists did he have before De Rossi? None.
Yes.
So sometimes it takes a manager to get the best out of a player who we're very critical on. We're like, okay, he doesn't have it. We've seen him try this loan, that loan, that loan. He doesn't have it. I'm still not saying that he has it, but
he's definitely looking more confident.
Yes.
He took the ball down well and he finished very cleanly as well.
And what a ball by Vitinha.
Lovely
that is
ball.
Great. If he can come in deep like that and ping balls to him like that, it will be great.
Yes. We have a question about Genoa, actually. Choco Loco asks, is Aaron Martin ready to move to a big club? And if so, who would he suit?
Oh, great question. I think that the top teams have good left backs, good left wing backs.
I see Atalanta.
Atalanta are a good one. If Roma didn't have Wesley, I feel like he'd really fit into Roma because he's kind of similar to Angelino in a way, Aaron Martin. I mean, Milan have Bartesaghi, but I think Milan wants something a bit more defensive than Aaron Martin. Those are the names that really stand out to me, man.
I think Atalanta is the place to go for him, to be honest.
For any wing back in the world, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that's the answer. Let us know what you think, Choco. And if you have any questions, do drop them in the Discord server. We have listener questions. We will try to incorporate them naturally into the podcast rather than in a question segment.
And become a patron. Yes. And also follow Nick on Instagram.
Yes.
And I just want to highlight Thorsby again because of his clear fucking aerial dominance. This is a guy that Allegri would have a field day with, bro. He'd love it. Imagine he was Vice Rabiot. Like Allegri would love
ahead
that.
of Modric.
Literally. But really good to see the reaction from Genoa. De Rossi did something in that half. They came out faster in duels, more aggressive in the air, more vertical. They played with more belief, more intensity, and pretty much too much for Verona to handle. They almost got back into it, but they didn't do enough. They were organized and competitive, but not clinical. Belgali had quite a good game. He was sharp, proactive, and aggressive. Orban had a good impact off the bench, but there was this element of mental fragility after clearly because they were so much worse in the second half. They are still dead last and deservedly. Their team looks good on paper with the amount of chances they create, but they lack a difference maker in the final third, and quite frankly I think they lack a good manager as well.
Absolutely, brother.
On to you, bro.
Yes. So the last game we've got, this is the last one, right?
Yep.
Is Parma 0, Udinese 2. A bit of a disappointing affair, to be honest. I was hoping for a little bit more from Parma, but the way that things started out, it was quite obvious what was to come. Let's just go through the lineups quickly. So Corvi was in goal for Parma, replacing Suzuki. Del Prato, Troilo and Valenti were at the back in a 3-5-2 formation with Bricghi on the right, Valeri on the left, Bernabé, Keita and Sorensen in the middle, with Coutron and Pellegrino starting together up front. As for Udinese, it was Okoye in goal in a 3-5-2 as well. Sole, Cabasele and Bertola were at the back, with Zanoli and Zamora on the wings. Atta, Karlstrom and Piotrowski were in the middle, with Davis and Zaniolo up front. We call that salt and pepper up front. They linked up really well this game. I thought they were great. So the game started off essentially with this is the theme this episode. This high line, man.
Yep.
This stupid high line. And Udinese were exploiting Parma's high line from the get-go. And it ended up coming to a point very early on in the game, 11 minutes in, where this long ball is played over the high line. Just perfectly enough to give Corvi the impression that he could go and collect it for some reason. So Corvi, the goalkeeper of Parma, ran up to Zaniolo, who got the ball way off his line. He ends up defending him like a defender, kind of like tracking back instead of actually diving at his feet and clearing the ball. Zaniolo just like rounds him. He doesn't even round him. He just taps it, knocks it like past him, and puts it into an empty net.
I really struggled to get back into possession. Man. Sure, but either commit or if you're going to get back into possession, don't just stand in no man's land.
Exactly. He did not commit whatsoever. The goalkeeper was obviously overly eager and a little bit mental, I think.
Yeah.
So after the goal, Parma tried to respond with shots from distance, but they lacked penetration. Udinese defended compactly. Of course, they denied space. And they forced Parma to shoot from low probability areas. In the second half, Parma grew bolder. They committed more men forward. Udinese sat deeper, but stayed alert. Then came the moment for Davis, who broke through very strongly and powerfully, and he was brought down by Troilo in what looked like a yellow card offense, but it became a red after VAR for a last man denial, essentially. And Davis converted the spot kick.
While maintaining eye contact with Corvi, basically just making Corvi's brain explode, and he just remained rooted to the spot. But Davis was looking at him like Corvi fucked his mom, bro, and he was stepping up to take the penalty.
Like Prime, what was his name? The one who's playing in Saudi.
Not John Duran. What's his name?
No.
Ivan Toney.
Yes, thank God. That would have really bothered the listeners who wouldn't get that. Hey. People in their car going, Ivan Toney. Yeah.
John Duran's in Turkey.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he go to Saudi? Or he's moved already?
That's Ivan Toney, but John
Duran was in Saudi, bro.
No, John Duran is at Fenerbahce.
What?
He's on loan from Al Nassr.
Okay.
Why, man? He was on 13 games, 8 goals,
Maybe
and they
for
loaned
the
him out
sake
to
of his
Fenerbahce. Maybe
we say that, but he's at his career peak, you know. I mean, it's funny how we talk about footballers' careers, right? When he's making the most, you know, and we're here talking about for the sake of his career.
I think it's because of he wants to make the World Cup for Colombia.
Yeah, probably. Even though that's not exactly a hard thing to do. Who's going to make it? Duvan Zapata. He came on for Torino and missed a one-on-one.
I'm sure there are that we don't know about.
Luis Muriel was at the Atalanta.
Yes, oh my God.
I was so happy to see him.
Really
he actually smiled at my TV.
Even though he scored a devastating backheel against Milan. And danced.
Yes.
My God.
Terrible. Parma can be a little bit naive sometimes. Udinese tends to be one of the more
But I hadn't seen a performance like this from Parma yet, because they haven't looked this naive to me yet this season. This was the first time where they were almost, and the goalkeeper didn't help. And I feel like in the first goal it was a looping ball over and the keeper handled it terribly. And then when they were pushing to try get some sort of an equalizer, they got caught on the break and they conceded a penalty and a red card. You know? Yeah.
You know what I'd say though, to agree with you? Recently Parma haven't really looked like they couldn't come back into games. This was a one-off where they looked like they couldn't come back into it. But yes, sorry for Tyson. Tyson, let us know what you think about Parma in general and their situation and Cuesta.
The last time we spoke, you wanted Cuesta out. How are you feeling now? He's got a few more wins. The win over Hellas Verona, still fresh in your memory. I mean, Inter lost to Udinese this season. So
exactly, so it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, shall we move on to our segment?
Yes. What do we do first? Predictions, wisdom, or let's start with predictions.
We need a jingle for this one.
Jingle bell. Sassuolo, Fiorentina. Here we go, brother. Quick fire.
Sassuolo, Fiorentina.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go mental and say Fiorentina win.
Fiorentina's first win.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm gonna go draw.
I'm gonna.
Ah!
Yeah, you've locked it in.
I've locked it in. Fuck it.
For me, this game is where with the fans and Dzeko had a moment. They all cheered after their chat. They're gonna show up in full force at the Mappe. It's gonna be like a home game,
It could be.
and they're gonna turn their fortunes around. Watch
It
them lose.
could be. Inter Como. I'm gonna say that this will be a draw.
Inter Como. Ooh. I'll go
I'm
I'll
regretting everything I say.
Inter win.
Verona Atalanta.
Atalanta win.
Same. Cremonese Lecce. Am I really gonna go for another draw here? The third draw? Yes, draw.
Same here. Cremonese Lecce draw.
Cagliari Roma.
Cagliari home draw.
Roma bounce back. Lazio Bologna. I'm gonna go with Bologna win. Bologna bounce back. Lazio have midweek. Probably
Draw.
so the Bologna though. Napoli Juve.
What a fucking weekend,
It's
bro.
a mental weekend.
Napoli Juve. Napoli win.
Draw.
Okay.
Pisa Parma. I'm gonna go. Oh my god, everything screams draw, bro. But I'm gonna go. I'm feeling Pisa. Pisa. I'm crazy, man.
Draw.
Udinese Genoa. Genoa.
Draw.
Torino Milan. Draw.
Ooh. Milan.
Excellent.
There's our quickfire predictions, of course.
I hate it.
We will be making more predictions in the betting channel on our Discord, of course.
Exactly. So
Shout out to Tyson, who always joins.
my guy.
Yeah.
On to our segment.
Yes. Wisdom.
Wisdom with the wank. You have a fucking really bad problem and you're doing it again. You keep on wanking and you're not stopping. Get out of your room, go outside. This is bad for your mental health. Your nervous system's all over the place. You're wanking again. All right.
How do you explain to someone what the segment is? Like a new listener, they're probably like, "What the fuck?"
If you listen this far, it gets fucking
If you
weird.
listen, I think beyond the hour mark is when we start to lose.
Hey
our
man,
minds.
hey. So,
To our mark
As,
specifically, we're gone. Like, but
so what's our wisdom?
Do we
with the
even
wank?
have-
I
we
love
do
how
have
here
one.
I named it wisdom while I wank. I would
wisdom while I
adore
wank
that.
is like, oh, there he is in all his glory at the Duomo.
At the Duomo, standing in front of it, pigeons around as there always are at the Duomo.
Get the full church.
Get the full church
Cathedral.
and get those skinny jeans off you, and wear baggy pants. So I'm just gonna.
This is
whatever.
old though. No, when's this from, Nick?
This is 2017.
17.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
They were
skinny
in.
jeans.
The skinny jeans were in.
In 2017, were they? They were in. They were
Yes,
definitely more in
that's
than
like
they are now.
8 years ago.
Yeah. So there he
Um,
is, all 6'6" of him in skinny jeans,
And you know what he's doing here?
taking a photo with the Duomo.
He is standing tall and dwarfing his challenges. Hashtag Milan days, hashtag Italy, hashtag Milan, hashtag Duomo, hashtag Cathedral, hashtag.
He's definitely one to dwarf his opponents
What does that mean, to dwarf?
to make
so
them seem small.
I dwarf, you dwarf. So
Yeah,
you are,
to dwarf.
so he's making his opponent seem small.
Yes.
Do you think that is him and the Duomo are large? Do you think this is something that he's saying as in like, look how big we are, look how powerful, look how mighty we are?
Maybe he's saying, look at me. I am a problem. And look at the Duomo behind me, how it's dwarfing me. Can you even say that word nowadays?
You can say dwarf, yes, no?
You can,
I think
so.
you can't say the M
It
word
is?
now.
Ah,
Dwarfism.
dwarfism, yeah.
Dwarfism. Exactly, you can't say the M word anymore.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about that, guys. And smash the like button.
Dwarf the like button.
Dwarf the like button.
Yeah.
But
I like the message though. Stand tall and dwarf your problems. Chest out.
yes, fuck yes. Make your problems small.
Yes.
Anyway,
Off to Indonesia
off
we
to
go.
Indonesia. Yep.
You know,
this
since
is-
we
this is
pronounce
where
it
we take-
differently.
I say Indonesia.
And I say Indonesia. Let us know what you say in the comments.
And smash the like button.
All right. So
This
let's put up
was
Sassuolo.
Sassuolo Como.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the comments.
Oop, I found one.
Oh my god, they're all about Paz. There's gonna be a flop segment.
No, but I have to translate many of them I hear. Nick's struggling with the national anthem. He can't find it. All he's finding are karaoke versions. Have you found any?
I found one.
Oh, God. So far, it's been scary. A tough and troublesome opponent for the Italian Giants, including a tough opponent for Inter.
Jay!
Watching Como play reminds me of Atalanta and the Papu Gomez era link to enter the UCL zone for the first time. Ah, he knows balls.
My god. Where is it? Where is it?
I found one.
Sicko mode is getting scarier by the day.
Keep up the good work, Jay, and congrats, Como.
That's lovely. Como must break through rank 3 out of 4 and appear in the Champions League next year. Amen. I am Indonesian and happy that the club is sponsored by PT Jarum Indonesia.
Super
Wait,
Jarum.
Exactly, another 3 emojis, okay.
Yes.
That has 32, one sec, because that has 32 likes and 5 replies.
Uh-huh.
Jarum in my city, Kudus city. Not a sponsor to the owner instead. Overly proud. This is not an exaggeration. This turn was praised last year by the oath of relegation to be.
Samangat, Como.
Over proud, we're from Jing Muhammad, lol.
Forza
Alright.
Como, Indonesia.
Congratulations on a fantastic victory. It's out of this world. I hope you keep it up and go to international cups. What a pass from Nico Paz on the second goal. What a player.
Como making Menkra. Alright, we're done here, man. We're done. This one wasn't great.
Jay, best centre back in Serie A.
Yes.
Amazing, guys. Thank you very much for being here as always. We're here as always, and we'll catch you all next Tuesday. Enjoy the Coppa. Don't drink and drive. Love you all.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.